is the third meeting between these two teams. The Bearcats losing to Rutgers back in 1980 as the Scarlet Knights scored 24 points in the second half. And in 1981, Cincinnati returned the favor with a 10-0 victory. Rutgers comes in 3-5. They had consecutive wins over Colgate and William & Mary before last week's loss to Tennessee. And Cincinnati has played a very tough schedule this year, losing to Oklahoma State, Florida State, and Miami, defeating Penn State, and last week the tie with Kentucky. They are 3-4-1. The officials for today's game, they go over their final last-minute instructions in that huddle. Terry Monk is the referee, and there's the rest of his crew. Frank Burns, head coach of the Scarlet Knights, getting set for another big football game. Sam?
Well, I think we can expect to see Cincinnati running with the ball more. According to their coach, Coach Brown had indicated that he'd like to throw, but they're going to run. They have not had great success running with the football, averaging just 2.9 yards per attempt.
Tom Angstad ready to kick off. Number 1 back deep, Malcolm Darden. Number 25, R.C. Smoot. And this football game is underway. Smoot has it at the 5-yard line. Smoot has some running room. He's across the 25 and gives Cincinnati excellent field position at the 30-yard line. And that's where the Bearcats will start first and 10. Mercer Hedgeman down on the play and looks like he may have injured his right leg. Hedgeman, of course, an outstanding special teams player for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. So that would be a big blow early on, losing their best performer on the special teams, number 57, Mercer Hedgeman.
Because Cincinnati has had quite a few injuries also coming into today's game. 2 players on the offensive line were injured last week. Starting offensive center Joe Apke and the right tackle Bill Thomas. The offensive line was the weakness of that unit to begin with, so they've got some problems, and I don't think they know how good they're going to be. And certainly they've had trouble in running with the football, even when the line was intact.
Okay, here's the offensive unit for the Bearcats. Mike Wilging is the starting quarterback. At fullback, Don Goodman, a very consistent football player. Taylor is the tailback. Split end, Bill Booz, who is on the verge of breaking many records here at Cincinnati. And Jason Stargull is the flanker. The offensive line has been shuffled around for today's football game because of the injuries that Sam mentioned. Gene Beck, an outstanding lineman, moves to center for this contest. There's Hedgeman. He's okay, walking over the field. And Cincinnati will have it first and 10 from their own 30-yard line. Mike Wilging, a sophomore from Cincinnati, starts at quarterback. Full house backfield. You'll see lots of different lineups, and you'll see a lot of movement employed by Watson Brown this afternoon. On first down, Wilging pitches to Reggie Taylor, gets a yard or 2. Bob Dumont and Carl Howard made the stop for Rutgers. Let's check the Scarlet Knights 5-2 defensive alignment. The changes include Beshner at nose guard, Cardilla at left tackle, and Harry Swain at right tackle. Stowe and Dumont each had 16 tackles a week ago against Tennessee. In the secondary, Howard, Erico, Young, and Houston, they have been intact all season long.
Stowe, just a freshman, getting better every week for Rutgers at that inside linebacker spot, an important position on that defensive unit. Big shift there, no backs.
Trips to the left side, second down and 9 from the 31, and Wilging will put it up on second down. Pass incomplete, a good hit by Bob Dumont. Pass was intended for Clifton Pendergrass. It will bring up a 3rd and 9.
Wilging, of course, you're looking at him as he started for the first time against Miami. A few weeks ago, they had lost their starting quarterback, Troy Bodine, with a broken left arm in the Miami game. He was ranked number 8 nationally in passing efficiency when he went down with that injury.
So it's 3rd and 9 for the Bearcats. Wide to the left time. This time goes Jason Stargull. And Wilging's back to throw. Flags are down on the play. Wilging scrambling out of the pocket, and he'll run out of bounds at the 30. Bob Dumont chased Wilging out of bounds, but there was some movement on that offensive line, specifically number 83, Dino Foster. Let's see if they call the penalty against Cincinnati. If they do, it will be 4th down, and they will have to punt.
Good pass rush. I believe Harry Swain, the freshman defensive tackle for Rutgers, putting pressure on Wilging, the quarterback, forcing him out of the pocket. They throw a great deal, or at least they would like to throw a great deal, but not long passes, Bruce. Ball control type offense.
Illegal motion called against Cincinnati, number 83, Dino Foster in particular. 4th down, and the Bearcats will have to punt it away. Dropping back deep, number 2 is Sean Burdick, a freshman from Cincinnati, averaging just under 35 yards per punt on the season. And back deep, James Shedneck of the Scarlet Knights, who's been returning punts and kickoffs all season long. Burdick waits for the ball at his own 16-yard line. And Rutgers has a lot of people up in that line. 4 punts off the side of his foot, and it will bounce near the 50-yard line, and Rutgers will take over in Cincinnati territory at the 49-yard line.
This is a tough artificial turf, and the field is greatly banked. When you stand at one end of the field, you can see the player's legs at the other end.
The Rutgers offensive unit, Jack LaFrary at quarterback, Williams and Smith, the fullback and tailback respectively. Pendergrass and Baker are the wideouts. Joe Panucci starts at right tackle. Alan Andrews the tight end, and a good one. 1st and 10 Rutgers, 49-yard line of Cincinnati. LaFrary back to throw on 1st down. Looks, throws, and it's intercepted. In and out of the hands of Albert Smith and into the arms of Jerome Brinson. So the Bearcats get the first break of the football game.
Well, this is running backs carry the football and they don't catch the football, and here you see why. A lack of concentration. Watch the ball. Hits Albert Smith right in the numbers. Something happened there. Just took his eyes off it, and an interception instead of a completion.
No score, 1st quarter of play. The 10 Cincinnati, 43-yard line, straight give across the middle to number 36, Don Goodman, and again, flags are down on the play. And again, the penalty called against Cincinnati.
Rhino Washington was the first man to hit the ball carrier. Good defensive play.
Sam, yesterday, Dick Curl, offensive coordinator for Rutgers, told us that we might come out and throw the football early in the 1st quarter. He did on the very first play, and he got a bad break. It bounced in and out of the hands of Albert Smith, who should have had the football.
Well, that's the first turnover, and of course, it always puts you in a hole. There's Watson Brown,
yep.
second youngest coach in the NCAA Division I. 33.
Came over from Vanderbilt, where he was the offensive coordinator, played for Vandy back in '73.
Did a good job. He was with them as the offensive coordinator in 81 and 82 and broke a lot of records, and they had pretty good success in 82. Good record.
3 wide receivers, Wilging back to throw, and he throws a little flip to Don Goodman. That's a play you'll see a couple of times today. It's a little flip to the fullback, and Goodman is very effective at running with the football after grabbing it. On that play, he only gets a couple of yards.
Sets up like a draw play, only instead of the quarterback putting the football into the fullback's midsection, he laterals him the ball, but the offensive line blocking as they would on a traditional draw play, inviting the defense across on a pass.
3rd down, 10 yards to go for the Bearcats. Ball on the 44-yard line. Wilging, straight drop back. Has time, throws complete to Bill Pugh. And he's short of a 1st down at the 50. Tackle made by Jim Dumont and Harold Young. And on 4th down, let's see if Cincinnati punts it away.
Pugh is a big tight end, 6'4", 227 pounds. I think he should have gotten that 1st down before he broke. Rutgers' defense has done fairly well here in the 1st half, overcoming that turnover and once again forcing Cincinnati to punt the football.
There's Pugh's stats on the season. He's a senior from Cincinnati. 2nd punt of the afternoon for this man, Sean Burdick. And Shedneck again back deep. This time at the 15-yard line, he awaits the football. No score. Just underway, 1st quarter of play, and there's a flag down on the line of scrimmage again.
You see the Cincinnati players on that punt team pointing at the Rutgers players. What they're doing is clarifying their blocking assignments. Let's hear this, if we can. I guess he's not going to talk to us. Okay, we don't have mics today. But anyway, when there's some doubt, they will just point out, I've got number 53, I've got number 99, in order to avoid any confusion.
So Burdick's dropped 5 yards deep. The rush is on. Burdick will run with the football. He has a 1st down in Rutgers territory. He's out of bounds at the Rutgers 35-yard line. Joe Corbin made the tackle, but a big pickup for Burdick and a first down.
That's the second bad break for Rutgers. Bill Houston and John Cummings coming in on the punter. I don't think this was out of design. I think he saw the rush. There you saw Bill Houston probably would have had the punt blocked. And again, it turns into a bad break for Rutgers as they've gotten the first down. It's just like another turnover, isn't it?
Yes, it is. 35-yard line. 1st and 10 in Rutgers territory. The Bearcats on the march. Lone setback this time is Goodman. Rutgers doing a lot of shifting defensively. Wilking, straight drop back. Legs down. Pass is complete. First down at the 20-yard line. And again, Bill Pugh made the reception, tackled by Howard and Stowe. Excuse me, Bill Booz made the reception.
Yeah, Bill Booz, their leading receiver, also their leading receiver last year. Not great speed, good moves. He gets fairly good pass protection. Wilking sets up, and he hits him in that area between the defenders, deep in the secondary. Good pass by Wilking. He has been described by Watson Brown as perhaps not having as good an arm as Troy Bodine, and there you see Jeff Cardilla out with an injury. He has been Rutgers' most consistent defensive lineman this season. Anyway, he has described his quarterback Wilking as not having as good an arm as Troy Bodine, but he has had considerable experience and is a good leader. He played throughout the spring for Bodine, who also had broken his left arm the first practice of the spring. So Wilking has some experience, also played somewhat last year.
Cardillo walking off the field under his own strength. And he's an important man, an important cog in that Rutgers defensive machine. He's been moved around this year. Nose guard, left tackle, nose guard, left tackle.
Yeah, he's been the one guy on that defensive line who has not come out. He stays in there throughout the football game, a good all-around complete defensive lineman.
In any event, it is 1st and 15 for Cincinnati from the 40-yard line. Full house backfield. And a good hit in the backfield by Tyrone Stowe. Ball carried by Donnie Goodman, and that time he is dumped for a loss.
Two inside linebackers, very important on the 5-2 defense. There you see number 41, Tyrone Stowe. I don't think that was a blitz. I think he just reacted well, saw the blocking in the middle of the line, anticipated that that's where the ball carrier would be. It's called instinct. And, of course, Jim Dumont right behind him.
2nd down, 15 at the 40. Wilking, play action pass, fires across the middle, complete at the 20-yard line. First down, Cincinnati. Jason Stargall, a sophomore from Cincinnati, pulled it in, and it is good yardage for the Bearcats.
Well, every defensive back agrees that the most important thing is to know where help is coming from. In effect, they're saying that you've got to learn when to break the zone and cover on a man-for-man basis. There you see the defender still in the middle, the receiver in the middle of 2 or 3 defenders. Somebody's got to break that zone and get up on the man. It was time to cover him on a man basis.
Dino Foster checks into the Cincinnati lineup. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Pitch back to Reggie Taylor, and Taylor gets 3 yards, runs it to Bill Houston and Tony Sagnella. And it will bring up 2nd down and long.
If those defensive people don't know when to break the zone and cover on a man basis, then how else can you cover when the offense floods a zone and you send 2 or 3 receivers into one area? They've got to be able to read and react almost without talking, although there's a lot of talking going on back there.
2nd and 7 at the 17. Twins to the right. John Thomas in the ball game for the first time. He's number 5. Stargall, and the pass is incomplete. Pass was intended for Bill Booz. Wilking looking long. He had 4 receivers out there, including Stargall, Pugh, John Thomas. Pass incomplete.
Yeah, he may have released the football before he would have liked to, as Rutgers was blitzing. Both inside linebackers, both defensive ends were coming. So it was a gamble on the part of Rutgers. The quarterback knew there would be man coverage in the secondary. When you blitz people like that, it forces you into man coverage. It worked for Rutgers. No backs now.
4 receivers are out. Wilking on 3rd down puts it up. It's complete to Don Goodman. And Goodman has a first down inside the Rutgers 5-yard line. And the big fullback figures prominently into that passing game, Sam.
Well, and he was covered by Lionel Washington now. This is a mismatch. Washington, 6'4", 210 pounds. Watch, you'll see number 99, the closest defender to the fullback, Don Goodman, 5'11", 212 pounds. And, of course, you would expect Goodman to be a little bit faster than Washington. Tough assignment for a defensive end.
Full house backfield now. R.C. Smoot, John Thomas, and Don Goodman. Hand is to John Thomas. He follows the left side, gets close to the goal line. Finally stopped by the middle of that Rutgers defensive unit. And Tony Sagnella, Jim Dumont, Harold Young all came in to make the tackle.
Yeah, John Thomas, a backup tailback, played quite a bit last week as the quarterback in the wishbone. When their quarterback, Troy Bodine, went down with the injury, Watson Brown had been working on it throughout the season in the event of an injury or as a changeup, utilizing John Thomas as the quarterback in the wishbone, a position he played in high school.
Second down and goal at the 2. Handoff to Reggie Taylor. He's in for a touchdown, and Cincinnati is on the scoreboard first.
Well, nobody really had a shot at him. Reggie Taylor, not very big, 5'7", 160 pounds, just a freshman. Good speed, obviously. Let's see if anybody does get a shot at him or if it's just good blocking. No one really had him. Bill Houston had a shot as he crossed the goal line. Good blocking up front. The offensive line, a good surge. They average about 254 pounds a man. Jim Dumont couldn't quite stuff the hole.
And Mike Morton drills the extra point. Cincinnati leads 7-0 in the first quarter of play on the touchdown run by freshman Reggie Taylor. We'll be right back. A freshman from Linwood, California, had a good year as a senior in high school, and as a junior raced for almost 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. He has sprinter speed. 10 plays, 57 yards for the touchdown. It took 4 minutes and 49 seconds, and Taylor went in for the final 2.
Yeah, most of that yardage came via the pass. Rutgers has been pretty tough against the run, and of course they got 3 chances at that, didn't they?
And that big play with the fake punt by Burdick.
Well, that was the third chance. The tipped pass that should have been a completion that turned the ball over the first time. He ran for a first down on the punt, and of course that set up the touchdown.
Mark Ryan kicks off. It comes down to the 11-yard line. Dan Errico returns it there, and Errico gets only to the 21. And a real good pop by Darrell Williamson, a sophomore. So Rutgers will start out 1st and 10. Of course, the Scarlet Knights couldn't muster any offense last week against Tennessee. They did not score in that football game, although they did drive on 2 or 3 occasions inside the 40.
Yeah, Andrew Baker has not been catching many passes for Rutgers. In fact, Dick Carroll had indicated he might move him from flanker to split end to try to free him up and isolate him. They had been double covering Baker on occasion.
The Prairie on first down, and hit hard in the backfield is Albert Smith. Dropped for a loss by Caesar Rushing, number 79.
Not a very big defense. Yeah, they stay fired up, these players, and not very big, but very active, very quick, very fast. And the strength of the defense, the 2 inside linebackers, 2 seniors, Jerome Brinson, number 38, and Linwood Marshall, number 49.
Rutgers has had only 2 offensive plays in this entire football game. Second down and 12 from the 20. Albert Smith. And he is stacked up at the 21-yard line. May have gotten a yard, and that is all. Again, Rushing pursuing the play, the junior from Cincinnati. And that defense has been changed around a little bit too, Sam. George Jamison, the right tackle, was really an end, and this week moves inside.
He is their best defensive lineman, George Jamison. Puts on a good rush. Pretty tough against the run, number 82.
3rd and 11 from the 21. The Prairie straight drop back. Steps in the pocket, throws complete to Andrews. And Andrews gets maybe 5 or 6 yards. He's far short of the first down. Errol Cleveland made the tackle, and Rutgers will have to punt it away on 4th down.
Andrews came into today's game as Rutgers' leading receiver with 36 catches for 317 yards.
Gary Liska's first appearance of the afternoon, averaging just under 37 yards per punt. Robert Gibbs, back deep, senior from St. Louis, Missouri. Low snap, Liska on the one hop and gets it away. Pretty good punt considering. Gibbs has it, loses the football and recovers. Rutgers there quickly, but Cincinnati has the football at their own 32-yard line. 6 minutes, 58 seconds left. First quarter of play from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincy leads Rutgers 7-0. You're watching Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
Madison Square Garden, but perhaps even more important to fans than its renown is its convenience. Only blocks from the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan, the Garden is a top 10 station for commuters. Nearby dozens of fine restaurants for business get-togethers, and of course offers the best and exciting sports entertainment. For season subscription information for Madison Square Garden events, call 212-563-8000.
Keep up to date on all the high school action in the metropolitan area each week on the Daily News High School Sports Show. Hi, I'm Bruce Beck. Join Bill Travers and me on Madison Square Garden Cablevision every Monday night at 7 p.m. with repeat telecast Wednesday and Friday evenings, also at 7 p.m. Highlights, rankings, features, and much more on the Daily News High School Sports Show.
With hundreds of makes and models to choose from and thousands of dealers claiming the best car at the best price, who stands out above all the rest? Welcome to Maloof Buick, the home of the professionals. Maloof has built a solid reputation on 40 years of quality service to people like these who have found the answer.
First of all, Buick's a quality car, and Maloof is quality service here. You enjoy bringing your car here to be serviced?
I'm satisfied with their price, and I like their service very much.
But you give me a good deal.
I honor their word, and they would stand behind what they sell, so I have confidence in them.
Confidence. That is the byword at Maloof Buick. So why don't you visit Maloof's beautiful new showroom on Route 1 in Adams Lane in North Brunswick. Choose from an inventory of over 300 new and used cars. Because Maloof is the largest Buick dealer in the area, he can offer you the best deal on whatever car you choose with on-the-spot financing. Remember, it doesn't cost more to deal with people who really care. Visit or call Maloof Buick.
Actually blocked him. I believe it was the offensive center that tried to get out there. Remember, they've had injuries on the offensive line. They haven't worked together very long to begin with. There were 3 starters from last year had graduated, and now the 2 injuries also to experienced people, so they've got a young, inexperienced offensive line in there.
Play action pass, Wilging with time, throwing long across the middle. It's complete for a first down at the 49-yard line. Bill Booz has now caught a pass in 23 consecutive games. That's one short of the Cincinnati record.
Bill Booz doesn't have great speed, not flashy, runs good routes, precise patterns, and obviously has good hands. Watch how he goes up to catch this football. In the hands all the way. Nice leaping catch. Not easy for a receiver. Knew he was going to get hit. It's tough to expose those ribs over the middle like that.
On first down, the give across the middle to Taylor. Taylor breaks a couple of tackles, and he's down to the Rutgers 41-yard line. Sam, yesterday Watson Brown was saying that Taylor isn't really that strong, but for some reason, even though he's only 5'7", 170, he's got upper body strength.
Well, it's everybody lifting weights today. I don't think there are any weak football players any longer. They usually measure strength now and how much a player can bench press. I didn't get a figure on Taylor on how much he bench presses, but Watson Brown did indicate that he doesn't run like a 160, 170-pounder.
What did you bench press?
Well, 350. See, and that wasn't bad. It was pretty good, you see. You didn't know at that time that you can do 500 or 550 or what they're doing today. Even at the college level. Of course, they're starting to lift weights back in high school. Frank Burns on your screen, I'll bet he never lifted weights.
No, I don't think he did.
No,
Matter of fact, we talked about it early in the year, and he said there wasn't anything like the Nautilus weight training program or anything like that.
They used to discourage it. Said you're going to get muscle bound.
When I played basketball, they used to tell me, don't shovel snow or go skiing because your muscles will contract, and when you shoot a jump shot, you'll come in short.
I was reading an article yesterday about John Heisman. You know, he was a coach, the Heisman Trophy named after him, and he used to encourage his players not to take hot showers because it debilitated the body.
That's a different one. I think I'll pass on that one. Second down and 2. Cincinnati, Rutgers 41-yard line. Bearcats lead 7-0 in the football game. Taylor looks to get to the outside, but he's turned in.
We're talking about the changes in football training and procedures over the years, and of course the sports medicine end of it has really improved rather dramatically. And I think because of that, Eric Hochberg now has a good chance to return. 10 years ago, he probably would have been finished. They probably wouldn't have even attempted to rehabilitate that knee, but with better methods of rehabilitation and training, he certainly has a good opportunity. And of course, the fact that his father is in sports medicine isn't going to hurt his chances.
3rd and 1, Cincinnati at the 40-yard line of Rutgers. Wilking, delayed handoff, and a first down for Don Goodman.
Now you see how the pass can sometimes set up the run. And this is what Wallace Brown, the coach for Cincinnati, Watson Brown, had talked about yesterday. You see now it sets up, I believe, as a pass. You see the offensive linemen don't fire out. They set up and bite the defensive people to come across as if it were a show pass, a drop back pass, then turn the defensive player in the direction that he's going, hand off to the fullback on the draw up the middle.
1st and 10 Bearcats. John Thomas in motion. Wilking sprints to his right. Flag down on the play. Wilking in trouble and goes down. Lionel Washington finally made Wilking take a nosedive, but there is a flag down on the play.
Wilking, not an exceptional runner, but since the injury to Troy Bodine, the starting quarterback, they have put in more rollout and sprint-type passes.
Well, if you're watching this football game at home and you see that bright side of the field on the far side and the shaded side on the near side, it may be a little confusing, but that's the way the sun sets in different stadiums. It's definitely a nightmare for a video person on a television crew, but for the football team, not too many problems except when you run on a pattern from the shaded side of the field to the sunny side.
Well, with the temperature being in the 40s, I would think that at this point Rutgers is, the players on the sidelines anyway, are rather happy to be in the sun.
2nd down, 14, Cincinnati. They've gotten called for a lot of penalties so far in the football game. Goodman on the delayed draw again, but this time he goes nowhere.
Tyrone Stowe once again started the last 4 games at inside linebacker. He replaced Mercer Hedgeman, just a freshman, not very big, 6'2", 205, good speed, good quickness, a lot of ability. He's going to be an outstanding inside linebacker.
Ted Cottrell said yesterday that he's just going to be a great football player.
Yeah. Of course, if you're going to use that 5-2 defense, you've got to have good inside linebackers. You're not going to get much better than Tyrone Stowe and Jim Dumont.
3rd and 14, 36. Wilking, straight drop back. Fires across the middle. Complete at the 19-yard line, a first down, and Jason Stargall again pulled in the key reception.
Nice catch, but the key is up front. Watch the pass protection. Give a quarterback, even a young quarterback like Wilking, that much time, and he's going to find his man over the middle. Nice catch. I think he saw the defender coming at him, and it took a lot of concentration for Stargall to hold on to that football.
Those numbers are amazing. Just under 23 yards per reception for Stargall. Again, no setback. Wilking fires, incomplete, hit the official in the process.
I think he was throwing at the official. He went right at him and nowhere near the receiver, but I think wisely, because there was good coverage on the part of Rutgers, and had he thrown the ball well, a good chance that it would have been intercepted. And out on the sideline like that, there was no one between the Rutgers defensive cornerback there, I believe it was Dan Errico, and the goal line.
7-0 Cincinnati, 2:46 left first quarter, 2nd and 10 at the 19. Wilking has time, throws complete to Goodman, and the fullback rambles inside the 13-yard line. Tyrone Stowe made the tackle.
Yeah, we had indicated that they throw a lot of short passes. Goodman, the fullback who caught that last ball, was their leading receiver with 41 receptions coming into today's game. Last year at Vanderbilt, Coach Brown, the head coach for Cincinnati, was the offensive coordinator, and their tailback was the leading receiver. So he believes in throwing to his backs.
Watson Brown, the man with the open headset and the black jacket. 3rd and 4, Bearcats, 13-yard line of Rutgers. 2:40 left first quarter. Wilking straight drop back. Throws. Intercepted. Picked off by Carl Howard in the end zone, and it will be a touchback. Rutgers will start out from their own 20-yard line, and a big interception by the senior from Irvington, New Jersey.
Well, when you put the ball in the air that often, as often as Cincinnati is, you're going to throw some interceptions. And here he just throws a poor pass. Should have had more on the football, deeper into the end zone. The receiver did fall, but that was Ed McCall falling on the play. But Carl Howard would have had it even if McCall had not stumbled.
Howard's second interception of the season, and Rutgers will start from their own 20-yard line. The offense has only had the ball on 4 downs in this entire first quarter. Third possession, the Prairie. Straight give up the middle. Vernon Williams gets 4 or 5.
Rutgers has had considerable success running with the football. They're averaging 167 yards a game on the ground, 188 in the pass.
A pickup of 4. Second down, 6, 24-yard line. Now all sorts of movement. Andrews sets tight on the left. Pendergrass and Baker are split wide, both sides of the field. Hand off to Albert Smith, and Smith goes nowhere. Runs into Dwayne Stacklin. And number 49, Linwood Marshall.
Rutgers' offensive line not opening holes for the running backs.
There's Marshall. He's a good football player, a senior from Cincinnati. They say he's very active and in almost every tackle, just like Jimmy Dumont. Rutgers now with 3rd down and 5 at the 25. 1:30 left, first quarter. Cincinnati leads 7-0. The Prairie throws long for Andrews, incomplete. Back in coverage, Brad Notacker, and the pass was overthrown over the head of Andrews.
Fortunately, because had it not been overthrown, it was anyone's football. When you throw over the middle like that, you don't want to loft the football. Over the middle, you've got to have something on the ball, and if anything, you want to throw low. You don't want to have the tipped pass where it can be picked off.
Gary Liskin punt formation. That's Robert Gibbs back deep. And Cincinnati with 10 men on the line. They're rushing Lisco. The punt just off. No flag. Gibbs, fair catch, 46-yard line of Cincinnati, and that's where the Bearcats will put it in play. 1st and 10. I'll tell you, you can't score if you don't have the football. And so far in this game, Cincinnati has an 11-minute advantage to a 2-minute plus advantage to Rutgers. That's amazing. Lisco
Now,
lucky to get this punt off.
Yeah, I never thought he was going to get it off. High snap. They happen to have a rush on. Watch, there'll be 2 or 3 people converging on him. I think they were all afraid of interfering with the punter and getting a penalty. Otherwise, someone probably would have had it.
From the 46, draw play, Reggie Taylor. Taylor breaks a couple of tackles close to a first down. Lionel Washington made the tackle. And Sam, again, they're running kind of a half draw, a delayed draw, maybe a 2-step play instead of the typical 4 or 5-step drop and then a draw.
Yeah, running plays that blend well with that short ball control type passing attack that Coach Brown had talked about yesterday. Why do I have trouble with his first name? I keep wanting to call him Wallace Brown instead of Watson Brown.
Just think of Mr. Watson and Mr. Holmes. Okay, he's fine. 32 seconds left, first quarter of play, 2nd and about a yard, and stacked up at the line of scrimmage is Donnie Goodman. Tony Sagnella made the stop.
Sagnella tough against the run. We had talked before about Rutgers using situation substitutions on their defensive line. Sagnella tougher against the run, and of course Harry Swain and Clyde Woodley better pass rushers. Woodley coming in passing situations, Sagnella in the ball game in run situations.
And that should do it for the first quarter of play. Clock winding down, and they will switch the ends, and both teams will get regrouped. The score from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, Cincinnati 7, Rutgers nothing. The Bearcats have dominated this first quarter of play.
Excitement that can be satisfied only one way. ESPN, the Total Sports Network. Big-time sports like NBA and college basketball, professional boxing, auto racing from around the world like kart NASCAR and Formula One. Something exciting even at 1 in the morning. ESPN, the Total Sports Network, where the cheering never stops.
Cincinnati leads 7-0. They have the football as we begin playing the second quarter. And the handoff to Reggie Taylor. Freshman gets down close to a first down on 3rd and short. Randy Hannes and Tyrone Stowe in on the stop, and they may have to measure.
As Rutgers has to make a decision as to how to approach the passing game for Cincinnati. The rule is you rush a good passer and you allow a poor passer to throw. Wilking, not really a good passer, so that rule would indicate that you perhaps drop people into coverage and you don't blitz and you don't stunt and you don't send the inside linebackers. But then on the other hand, they've got an inexperienced offensive line or one that has not worked together very long, and there might be a good chance of freeing someone up on a blitz or on a stunt.
First down, Cincinnati, Rutgers 43. Wilking play action, plenty of time, fires complete. Sargel has another reception short of the first down. Might have had the first down, but had to come back to the 36, and it will bring up second down and short.
Yeah, that time they elected to rush the 4 defensive linemen, had 4 defensive linemen in the football game. However, they did not put pressure on the quarterback.
Flag down on the play. And it looks like it will be marked off against Cincinnati. Here's a look at the first quarter statistics, Sam.
Rutgers no first downs, only 4 yards rushing. Cincinnati 55 yards. They certainly have dominated the first quarter. Of course, the turnover and then the first down on the punt gave Cincinnati a big break. Rutgers did intercept on the goal line, but they couldn't move the football. Time of possession tells everything.
So it will be first down and 20 on the holding call. And the delayed draw again to Reggie Taylor, and Taylor gets back up near the 50-yard line.
Now, coaches will approach things differently. There are some coaches that will continue to run a play that has been successful, and they'll run it over and over until the defense adjusts and stops the play, and then hopefully you find an area that the defense is weakened. Other coaches will, if they've got something that they think will work, they will save it for a crucial time in the football game, a third and must situation.
Second down and 18 at the 49. Booth wide left. Wilking with time. Throws complete to Booth down at the 36-yard line. No fumble on the play. Play is blown dead, and there is another flag in the offensive backfield, but it's going to be a roughing the passer call against Rutgers, a personal foul.
Let's see if we can see who does it. Barry Bukowski, number 56 in the football game. Quarterback sets up. There you see Jim Dumont coming on a blitz. They do a good job of picking up the blitzing linebacker. We didn't see the hit, but obviously someone was coming over and hit Wilking after he clearly threw the football.
Well, Cincinnati being explained their options. Certainly, if they take the penalty, it's an automatic first down, roughing the passer. So I would think that they may take the penalty and give up 5 or 6 yards on the play instead of having a third down and short. There's Terry Monk, the referee for today's football game, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to mark it off from the spot of the infraction, give the Bearcats an automatic first down, even though they'll give up 5 yards or more.
Cincinnati defense is not very large, but the offensive line seems to be good size. They average 254 pounds, 6 feet 4 inches in height, and they seem to be better pass protectors than drive blockers. I don't see them firing out, moving people off the ball. A lot of finesse blocking, hitting and turning the defensive man. Of course, that goes with the passing attack and perhaps the emphasis on the pass. Practice is important. And if you're practicing the pass all the time, you lose something on the part of the offensive line and their ability to drive off the football and block for the run.
Cincinnati has dominated this football game from the outset. They lead 7-0, 13 minutes left first half. Reggie Taylor, ooh, he's really hit. Bob Dumont I believe the man that made that stinging hit, and Jim Dumont there also.
You see, they don't have, watch the blocking now. He really doesn't have any place to run. They pull the offensive guard, number 63, out there. He tries to get a block on Jim Dumont, doesn't succeed. Who was that?
Bob Dumont made the real hit.
Oh, boy, he wrapped him up, didn't he?
He hit him pretty good.
Picture tackle.
Jimmy
right
Dumont
down the middle.
was there, too.
Wrap those arms around the ball carrier and tie him up.
That was a Dumont sandwich. 2nd down and 8. Bearcats. Wilking audibilizing at the line of scrimmage. Hands off to Taylor, and he is stopped for a loss. Bob Dumont in on the tackle along with Tony Sagnella. Bob Dumont playing a good football game.
Good linebacker. I believe that number 65 for Rutgers, Bill Beschner, was also in on the tackle. He seems to be playing some at the defensive tackle. They had him playing nose guard last week, but of course they're moving people around, as we indicated before.
3rd down and 9. Sam, this is where Rutgers has had problems all year long on 3rd down, giving up the big play. Last week, Coach Ted Cottrell said they cut down on those miscues. Let's see what happens here. 1st down. Cincinnati at the 14-yard line. Big Ed McCall, a 6'3 junior, reserve tight end, holding the ball and has the necessary yardage.
Rutgers just not getting a pass rush. Good pass protection on the part of that Cincinnati offensive line. You see once again Jim Dumont coming on the play. Tyrone Stowe dropped into coverage. You'll see him come into your picture also. Bill Houston brings him down. There's Tyrone Stowe, number 41, coming over. He might have been closer to the receiver as the ball was delivered.
1st down, 14-yard line. Bearcats on the mark. Straight up the middle they go with Don Goodman, the fullback. Loses the football, and Rutgers has it. Rutgers at the 16-yard line recovers the fumble. Lionel Washington there to pick up the ball, and they snuff out the Cincinnati drive. 11:20 left, 2nd quarter of play. Cincinnati 7, Rutgers nothing. Back at Riverfront Stadium, Rutgers has the football off the fumble recovery by Lionel Washington. 1st and 10, Scarlet Knights, 16-yard line. And Len Beleza is stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Cincinnati called a convention on Beleza's body on that play, a loss of a yard.
Beleza has been effective for Rutgers running with the football. Coming into today's game, he had a 5.5 average. That's pretty good. Vernon Williams, the other fullback, had been averaging 4.3 yards. Combined, they had 460 yards. Albert Smith came into today's game with 464.
2nd down, 10, 16-yard line. The Prairie sprints out, has time, throws, complete to Baker. Nope, he was out of bounds. It will not count. It will go as an incompleted pass, and it will bring up 3rd and long.
Jim Keating seems to be doing a pretty good job on George Jameson, who is the outstanding defensive lineman for Cincinnati. He's their regular left defensive end, but because of injuries, he's moved into a right tackle, playing over Keating, the left offensive tackle for Rutgers. Not as good a tackle as he is at end.
3rd and 10. Rutgers still looking for their first down. The Prairie sprints out. Has some room. Keeps the football. Fumbles the ball, and it's loose. And it looks like Cincinnati has it back. Linwood Marshall was there to recover, and the Bearcats get the ball inside the Rutgers 20.
Rutgers continues to make mistakes, but then again, so is Cincinnati. They have turned the ball over twice also. The interception inside the goal line, and of course a fumble just a few moments ago before Rutgers kindly turned it back to them.
So with 10:32 left in the 2nd quarter and Cincinnati leading by 7, they'll get another opportunity at the Rutgers 19. Wide to the left side, Bill Booth. Trips to the right. No setback. Wing left as well. Wilgate throws complete to Goodman. And he gets 6 yards on the right side. Tackle made by Howard and Young. Sam, what type of problems, what type of adjustments are there defensively when you set up so many different receivers left and right?
Well, what they did, they flooded the zone on that right side, sent the 2 wide men deep downfield, hoping to take the cornerback, the safeties with them, isolating the fullback, in that case, Goodman, on the linebacker. He broke to the outside, and of course that's tough coverage for the linebacker, trying to keep up with Goodman as he breaks toward the sideline, flooding his zone, flooding an area of the defense.
Second down, 4 at the 13. Pendergrass in motion. Wilgate fires. And then it's incomplete. Stargell perhaps could have had the football.
Yeah, he should have, but you'll see number 99, Lionel Washington, leaping for the ball, and obviously he either distracted Stargell or obstructed his vision, because the ball actually hit Stargell on the shoulders. Watch number 99 go up now. I don't think maybe he did get a piece of it. It's awfully hard to tell, but certainly the ball hit Stargell, number 24 for Cincinnati.
3rd and 4 at the 13. Twins to the left, one setback. In motion, Pendergrass. Fumble on the snap, and flags are down on the play. Dead ball foul because the play was stopped immediately, and it will be some type of illegal motion or illegal procedure against Cincinnati.
Yesterday, Watson Brown had indicated to us that Rutgers does not make many adjustments to motion, which is what the offense is trying to get them to do. He's trying to get them to think, to have to make last-minute decisions to distract the defensive unit. Rutgers pretty much stays the same. Of course, the coverage will change as that man goes in motion. A different player will become responsible, but since they're in zone most of the time, he indicated that motion really wasn't that effective against Rutgers.
3rd and 9. Bearcats 66% so far this afternoon on 3rd down. Wilgate with all the time in the world, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Don Goodman, and so Rutgers comes up with a big defensive play on 3rd down. And now let's see if we will look at Mike Morton and the field goal unit.
Bill Houston had coverage on the play, playing a pretty good football game. Coming into today's game, the number 3 tackler on the team with 55. Of course, Jim Dumont leading the team with 111 tackles, followed by Brother Bob with 66.
Morton's stats impressive on the year. This will be a 36-yard attempt. And he has the distance. It's perfect. Mike Morton, a freshman from Worthington, Ohio, gives Cincinnati 3 more points. He is now 7 for 9 in the field goal department on the season. Bearcats 10-0 with 9:31 left in the first half. Homecoming crowd at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. And there's a good look at the band getting very excited. It's been a one-sided football game so far, Sam. It's been dominated by Cincinnati, but Rutgers has gotten 2 big turnovers, the interception by Carl Howard, the fumble recovery by Lionel Washington, or else we could be looking at a real lopsided score.
Well, of course, the breaks evened out. Each team has had 2 turnovers, but you look at the game statistically, and it's not even close. Rutgers has 4 yards rushing, 5 yards passing, a total of 9 yards for 134 yards for Cincinnati.
No first downs yet for Rutgers. Bouncing kick. Len Beleza has it at the 10. Beleza to the 25. Beleza gives Rutgers excellent field position at the 37-yard line.
And now you've got to do something with it.
That last Cincinnati scoring drive culminating in the field goal by Mike Morton. 4 plays, 19 yards, set up after the LaPrairie fumble. Sam, I have to believe that if Rutgers gets 1 first down, it will take the pressure off and perhaps give the offensive unit a little bit more breathing room.
Well, anything has to help psychologically at this point.
Single setback is Beleza. 2 tight ends in the football game. LaPrairie back to throw. Fires incomplete, way over the head of Pendergrass. Robert Gibbs had a shot at the football. And LaPrairie must be talking to himself a little bit right now.
Or pass, bad pass, dangerous pass. Some pressure, but not. They weren't close to him. But watch the. Well, we won't see the outstretched arms. But there you see Pendergrass, who's got good speed, a hurdler. Goes up, but he can't get up that high. That's a good leap. That ball was really overthrown.
Second down, 10, Rutgers, 37-yard line. Single setback again, Beleza. And Beleza gets the call straight up the middle, first down and more into Cincinnati territory. Beleza breaks a couple of tackles and rambles to the 34-yard line. Scott Ivey made a tackle at the 35.
Beleza, he's the fullback, not a big fullback, actually not as big as Albert Smith, but he's got good reactions, read that block well, made a good adjustment to the block, picks up another block there. That's good cutting. He's following his blockers well, breaks a couple of tacklers back there, and eventually is brought down. Ran tough at the end, too. Good run by Beleza.
1st and 10. Rutgers' first down in the football game. Flags are down before the snap, a dead ball foul.
There's a situation for a running back where he can outrun his blockers. Speed is great, but you've got to know when to slow up a little bit, wait for the block to take place. If you see an offensive lineman approaching someone, don't try to outrun the defender. Wait until that lineman lays a block and then break off of it. That's the thing that Beleza did so well on that run.
5-yard penalty against Rutgers for illegal procedure. Brings the ball back to the 40. It will be 1st and 15. 10-0 Cincinnati. 8:48, first half of play. Rutgers on the Bearcat 40. LaPrairie following Owens. Still looking. Throw. And it is incomplete. Almost picked off by Linwood Marshall. And that was a dangerous pass, throwing against the grain and into the arms of 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, only 2 receivers downfield that I see. See the offensive guard, John Owens, pulling out. Picks up a block there. LaPrairie gets to the outside, still looking for somebody to throw to. Throws it back across field. A wobbly pass, not much on it. And as you see, almost intercepted.
2nd down, 15. Still 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and Len Beleza. Beleza following Owens, and Beleza gets down to the 31-yard line. Excellent block by John Owens, and Linwood Marshall came up to make the stop.
Well, suddenly Rutgers has come to life on the ground anyway. We had indicated they had just 4 yards coming into this drive. Of course, the one big gain by Beleza has given them considerable yardage now.
That was a pickup of 8. It brings up 3rd down and 7 at the 32. Now Albert Smith is back in the ball game. LaPrairie blitzes on, throws, and it's intercepted by Robert Gibbs. Gibbs at the 20. He may go. He's at the 40. Gibbs into Rutgers territory. Cuts back against the grain and gets to the Rutgers 37-yard line. Flag down on the play, but a great return by senior Robert Gibbs.
I think what it indicates when you see a defensive back run with a football like that, and you see it time after time, they're good athletes back there. They frequently were running backs in high school, and you see some excellent running here. Picked up a block there. It wasn't really a block, but he waited for his man to wall him off and just turns it on here. Again, tries to cut back and eventually is brought down. Another poor pass by LaPrairie. Just a horrible pass.
Grabbing the face mask called against Rutgers. They'll tack on an additional 5 in this case because it was not flagrant. And the ball goes down to the Rutgers 33-yard line. Cincinnati with the ball and a 10-point lead. 1st and 10 for Mike Wilking and company. Stargell in motion. Wilking with time. Throwing long, it's incomplete. Shooting for Stargell.
Throwing much longer today than he has in the past. Watson Brown talking about his offense. He says we consider it a very low-risk offense. If you drop the ball, it's incomplete, which is better than the option play. If you drop the ball on the option play, it's a fumble and perhaps a 4 or 5 yard loss. I don't know if I really agree with that philosophy, but that's what the man you're looking at now thinks about the passing game. He thinks it's safe if it's done well, but they're throwing some deep ones today, and of course you've got to keep the defense honest with the deep ones.
2nd down, Wilking back to throw, fires across the middle, incomplete. Overshot his receiver, Bill Booz, who by the way is from New Jersey. He's a senior from Vineland High School in Vineland, New Jersey. It'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Okay, it's a pretty big offensive line for Cincinnati, and they do this well. Not overly aggressive, just sit there, take on the defensive people, absorb the blow. You got 3 people on number 94 for it's Swain for Rutgers. The 2 guards in the center wound up on one man.
3rd and 10. Wilking play action. Swain after him. And he's throwing this one away. And it is intercepted in the end zone by Bill Houston. The free safety stayed with it all the way. It was definitely not going to be a completion. Houston has the interception. Rutgers will have the ball at their own 20-yard line with 7:21 left in the first half of play. In Houston, or another Rutgers player appears to be shaken up.
Said Bill Houston. Now watch now the Cincinnati quarterback Mike Wilking puts it up for grabs. Good pass protection. Eventually, I believe it was Swain that almost got to him, but he just throws deep down the middle. You got the two safeties back there, or one safety, Bill Houston and Carl Howard, but certainly a bad pass.
Bearcats lead it 10-0 with 7:21 left in the first half of play. From Riverfront Stadium, you're watching Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
That brings legends to living rooms in the world of sports now also presents diversified entertainment programming, including classic television spy adventures with Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg in The Avengers, trendsetters of the art, fashion, and music world on Andy Warhol's TV, and some of the biggest names in the entertainment world with The Jonathan Schwartz Show, all on the Madison Square Garden Network. Consult your local listings for time and channel or contact your local cable system.
Keep up to date on all the high school action in the metropolitan area each week on the Daily News High School Sports Show. Hi, I'm Bruce Beck. Join Bill Travers and me on Madison Square Garden Cablevision every Monday night at 7 p.m. with repeat telecast Wednesday and Friday evenings, also at 7 p.m. Highlights, rankings, features, and much more on the Daily News High School Sports Show. Third turnover of the afternoon for Cincinnati. Bill Houston limps off the field. Rutgers has it 1st and 10 as Houston comes up with another big play. LaPrairie rolls to his left on 1st down, and his pass is complete to Andrew Baker. Baker has 1st down yardage at the 32. That's Rutgers' first completion of the afternoon.
Is that right? I think it's his second.
Maybe his second.
Second.
Okay, Sam.
2nd and 8 attempts.
Thank you.
Both quarterbacks having a tough day, and certainly it doesn't blend well with what Watson Brown was saying about the passing game being as safe as the running game. I just don't buy that.
Aaron Gibson in the ball game for the first time for Rutgers. He's number 3, a sophomore. Lenny Beleza gets the handoff, and Beleza has been the only running back who's been able to pick up some yardage today. He gets to the 37, picks up about 5 before Jerome Brinson made the tackle.
Two good inside linebackers, the stars of the defense, Jerome Brinson, Linwood Marshall. Good block by Joe Panucci there. Well, it could have been had the back had an opportunity to break back behind the block. He was driving him in the direction that the ball carrier was running. 2nd
and 5, Beleza stacked up at the line of scrimmage. The initial hit was made by Brinson, and then Keithus Liggins finished the duty.
Yeah, see, now that would have been a more than acceptable effort by John Owens, trapping on the defensive end. Okay, he came out there, he unloaded on him, he stunned him, he splattered after he hit, but had the other people on the offensive line done their job, it was more than adequate to spring the running back. But since everybody else broke down and the ball carrier was tackled, the man that Owens trapped also got in on the tackle.
3rd and 5. LaPrairie fires across the middle, caught by Andrews, and a 1st down. Nice reception by Andrews. He pulled that one in and got Rutgers the necessary yardage.
Andrews, 6'5". Let's see if he utilizes that height. Well, he lets number 41 push him around a little bit. But now, excellent catch. Really tough catch because the defender was coming over his shoulder and had a piece of the football. He wasn't able to utilize his body. He was slipping. So just a good catch, good concentration, good hands.
1st and 10, LaPrairie back to throw. Hits Albert Smith for about 4 yards. Smith dropped immediately by Linwood Marshall near the 50-yard line.
Smith came into today's game with 464 yards. Last year, As a freshman, he led the team with 466 yards. He's carried 3 times today for no yardage, so he still hasn't broken the record for him anyway last year.
Second down, 6 at the 49. Rutgers trying to mount their first offensive drive of the afternoon. Prairie has time, steps in the pocket, throws complete to Aaron Gibson. That's his first reception ever as a Rutgers football player. Brad Notacker made the tackle, and Rutgers has a first down.
Yeah, ball wobbled a little bit, but it got there, and he keeps it low, which is what you want to do over the middle. Good pass protection, always the key. I keep repeating it because it's so terribly important. No quarterback, there isn't a quarterback in the game that can throw if he has people waving their hands in his face or approaching to tackle him.
First down, Scarlet Knights, 36-yard line of Cincinnati. Straight up the middle, Len Veleza, another hole, and Veleza powers his way inside the 30. And suddenly, Sam, I know you don't like to use the word, but Rutgers is gaining momentum.
Well, they're blocking, and they've stopped making mistakes, stopped turning over the football. Excellent block by John Owens. Trap on the defensive tackle. Good job. Clement Udovich had been the man that had been pulling primarily in the early part of the year for Rutgers. Today I've seen Owens pulling out and trap blocking quite a few times.
2nd and 4 at the 30. Veleza has a hole and just lost his balance on the artificial turf.
I think he tripped over Albert Smith's leg. Smith was the lead blocker on the linebacker, and Veleza, I believe, tripped as he ran behind Smith's block.
Official timeout called. 3 minutes, 50 seconds left in the first half, and Cincinnati leads by a score of 10-0. Next week, the penultimate game for Rutgers, and it could be one of the best games of the season. Rutgers takes on the Mountaineers of West Virginia from Mountaineer Stadium in Morgantown. The action begins Saturday night at 10:30 with the repeat telecast Sunday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
What game was that?
The penultimate.
Penultimate? Okay.
Next to last game.
Okay.
3rd and 1 at the 26. And Rutgers with a full house backfield. Dwayne Hooper in the ball game. And the Prairie just barreling straight over the middle, and Rutgers will have a first down.
Well, this is not the penultimate opportunity for Rutgers to score, but certainly they would like to get some points on the board. They'll have other opportunities. That's what I was trying to say.
Are you trying to
bury me?
Is that what you're trying to do? Rutgers with a first down. They trail 10-0, but they'd like to get on the scoreboard before halftime. And LaFrary, who had a shaky start, is suddenly on target. He's back to throw again. He has time. He has Baker wide open, and he has a first down at the 11-yard line.
Isn't that amazing how a receiver can be so wide open downfield like that, you know, approaching your goal line, or talking about the Cincinnati defenders. Now watch how he breaks over the middle. The Prairie could have hit him just about any time he wanted to. There was no one near him. Good pass protection once again. Good job by 74 Keating on their best defensive lineman. Nobody near him. The defender was over the goal line. I mean, when are you going to break the zone?
Veleza on 1st and 10 makes a juke move. He's at the 5 and he's down to the 1. Len Veleza is running extremely hard here in the first half, and Rutgers knocking on the door, trailing 10-0, but all of a sudden can get back in this football game with a touchdown.
Yeah, Veleza, a good running back. We indicated he's not very big, not as big as Albert Smith, but Smith runs better from that tailback position. He just sees better from that position. It's a position he ran at high school, and that's pretty much why Veleza is at fullback and Smith at halfback. And Veleza does a good job from the fullback position also. 1st
and goal, Rutgers at the 1. And a flag is down on the play.
See, that'll kill you. That was Keating, I believe, that just moved a little bit. The offensive lineman, once he sets, once he puts his hand down on the ground, cannot move, cannot lift the hand, and certainly cannot move forward or backwards.
Keating, number 74, and you can see his reaction to the call. The ball comes back to the 6. And instead of 1st and goal at the 1, it's 1st and goal from the 6.
Well, once you get used to hearing the officials' calls on the field, you miss it.
Dwayne Hooper. LaPrairie hands to Albert Smith, and Smith is down to the 3. George Jamison made the stop, along with Dwayne Stacklin. And they have second down. It should be second down now.
See, that penalty, the offsides penalty, goes down as only 5 yards. And 5 yards doesn't sound like very much, especially when you're reviewing the stats of a football game. But it's when it occurred, in the goal line or on the goal line or near the goal line. Certainly the 5 yards becomes the equivalent to 30 yards in midfield, that type of thing, or 20 yards. Take your pick.
There's Watson Brown, who replaced Mike Gottfried, who became the head football coach at Kansas. And it took athletic director Mike McGee only 48 hours to make the decision. And that decision right now is going on. Over there, Jack LaPrairie talking to Carl Lombell, Coach Frank Burns, and Rutgers with a second down and goal at the 4. The scoreboard has third down. I have it as second down. I'd like to get a clarification on that if we could. Rutgers had a first and goal at the 1. They marked off a 5-yard penalty, so it would then be first and goal from the 6. And they have on the scoreboard here and on the sideline, third down.
One of the people on the sidelines had second down. On the other side, he had third. He just adjusted his, so it's third down at this point.
Okay. LaPrairie. Play action pass, in trouble. Still looking. Throws. Caught by Andrews for a touchdown. Alan Andrews made a brilliant reception, and LaPrairie somehow got the football off. Andrews is hurt.
I think he fell on the football. I don't know how LaPrairie got that ball away. You know, in a situation like that, we've seen him on other occasions throw interceptions. This time, just sheer grit and determination with people hanging on him. This guy just holds on now, the tackler. Another guy hits him. 41 has a shot. He refuses to go down, and eventually finds Andrews on the goal line. Did he fall on the ball? Yes. I think that it seems like a plausible explanation. I didn't see any other injury to Andrews or any other blow, and there he goes running off the field.
What a fine reception by the junior from Succossona, New Jersey, Alan Andrews. Anything near him, Sam, he pulls in. He's got hands, real good hands.
Good size.
Of course, he was a quarterback for several of his years here at Rutgers.
We'll forgive him for that.
Tom Angstadt will try the point after touchdown. Suddenly, Rutgers back in the football game. With a minute 37 left in the first half, Rutgers has sliced the lead to 3, 10-7. There's one of the biggest difference in rules concerning the pros and the college ranks. If that was in the professional ranks, that would not have been a touchdown because they would have blown the play dead because the quarterback was in the grasp of the defensive player.
Yeah, and if he were a professional quarterback, he probably would have gone down. You know, there's a time to go down when you're standing there like that with people charging. You know, you got to go down. That's how you get hurt. But LaPrairie hung in there and eventually got rid of the football.
In the top of our show, I talked about his determination. There's the Rutgers scoring drive, by the way. 13 plays, 80 yards, a beautiful march, 5 minutes and 46 seconds. But I talked up front about LaPrairie's determination. Last week, he got hit by Reggie White, who must be 6'6", 260, from the University of Tennessee, perhaps the best defensive lineman in the country. He got hit 2 or 3 times, and Dick Curl told us yesterday he didn't know why he ever got up and wanted to play again. He just shows great determination. Can't teach somebody that. He just has it or he doesn't. Back deep is Malcolm Darden. Darden's at the 20, 25, and spins to the 30. And it will be first and 10, but a flag is down on the play.
You're talking about Reggie White. He really was an exceptional football player. With all the publicity that Tennessee had put out on him, I just thought prior to the game that no defensive lineman could be that good. And they had quotes, extensive quotes from Gil Brandt. In fact, Gil Brandt must really get around. He's the vice player and player development for the Cowboys. And last week he was quoted about Reggie White. This week we come to Cincinnati, and I read a quote of Gil Brandt about their coach, Watson Brown. He said he's one of the rising stars of the coaching profession and one truly brilliant mind in the game of football. All that, and I wonder if he ever met Watson Brown.
Watson Brown, a graduate of Vanderbilt, 1973. There's your score. A minute 31 left, first half. And Rutgers right back in the football game. And the defense perhaps rising to the occasion now. The defense gives the offense sets up the defense, and perhaps that momentum swings over.
Let's see. Let's just see if it works that way. You know my theory about momentum. Momentum exists when you don't make mistakes for a while. So Rutgers had the good offensive drive, and they stopped them on first down. Let's see if they can continue to play good football. That's what momentum is. When you're playing good football, nothing else, nothing builds with momentum. I mean, nothing builds on a football field.
Second down and 8. Delayed handoff to Reggie Taylor, and he breaks the tackle, and he has a first down at the 30-yard line. Finally runs into Carl Howard as he got to the 32.
The quote, momentum ended with that missed tackle back there. Had he tackled him, Rutgers would have continued to be in good shape. Let's see who that is that misses that tackle. Is it Cardilla? No, it was number
Swain.
90, Swain. Had a shot at him, but it was a tough assignment as he was the only defender near the ball carrier.
Wilking hands the ball off again to Taylor. Taylor trying to get to the outside and finally dragged down by his jersey by Butch Young as he got up near the 37-yard line. We have 17 seconds left in the first half.
Taylor from Linwood, California. In fact, Cincinnati has players from all over the place. Got a couple of Canadians, 5 of their starters from junior colleges, 3 of those from California, and 5 starters of the 22 on offense and defense were transferees from other colleges. So they go out and they'll dig up people.
They also have their share of players from right here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, Watson Brown indicated yesterday he has a problem in getting the players from Cincinnati, that there are a lot of good high schools in Cincinnati. And he said he was recruiting somebody, I guess, when he got the job, or this year, he brought someone to see the Morgan State game. And then the following day, that prospect, high school prospect, was going out to see Notre Dame play Michigan. It's a little bit of different to Cincinnati and Morgan State and Notre Dame and Michigan. And certainly a high school kid has to be impressed by the latter.
Second down and 5. Wilking back to throw.
A lot of time.
Pumps and throws complete to Mark Crawford. Crawford's first reception of the day, and wisely, he gets out of bounds at the 50-yard line, and Cincinnati with 7 seconds left, still dreaming of a field goal attempt here before halftime.
Boy, Mark Crawford looked like a tackle, didn't he? He's pretty big. 6'2", 230 pounds. They've got good-sized tight ends. Bill Pugh, the starter, is 6'4", 227 pounds.
7 seconds unofficially left in the first half. Cincinnati leads Rutgers 10-7. They have a first down at the Rutgers 49. Wilking back to throw. Looks for the sideline. Throws complete to Dino Foster. But Foster, instead of turning out of bounds, turned back to the playing field. And that should do it for the first half of play. So the ball will die at the 34-yard line of Rutgers. So Coach Frank Burns and his staff must feel much better going into the locker room with that 7 points after really having a lot of problems throughout most of the first half of play. Our score at halftime, Cincinnati halftime, and the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers will receive the second half kickoff. Number 99 is Mark Ryan, and back deep for Rutgers, James Shedneck in the middle of your picture. Cincinnati 3-4-1. The Scarlet Knights 3-5. This is the third meeting between the two teams. Series deadlocked at 1 win apiece. Shedneck has it at the 1-yard line. And Shedneck is found across the 20 and breaks the tackle. 26-yard line. The kicker made the tackle. Mark Ryan, number 99, came all the way down the field to make the stop.
Yeah, Shedneck has been very effective in returning kicks for Rutgers this season. Coming into today's game, he had been averaging 23.7 yards on punt returns and 16 yards on kickoff returns. This is pretty good field position at the 27-yard line.
Well, it took Rutgers a long time before they got their first down of the football game, and then all of a sudden they put together a nice streak, a scoring drive, and they're back in at 10-7. On first down, Vernon Williams, the fullback from Amherst, Massachusetts, cracks to the 31-yard line. Nice pickup on the play. Jerome Brinson made the slicing stop. at the 31-yard line. Baker and Pendergrass wide receivers. Smith and Williams behind LaPrairie. Albert Smith gets the call, breaks the tackle. He's at the 35, fumbles the football. It's loose, still loose. And Cincinnati has recovered at the 40. Seventh turnover of the football game, fourth committed by Rutgers. And Cincinnati will take over at the Scarlet Knight 40.
I don't see any great hit here on Smith to cause this fumble. Let's see why he fumbles. Is it just an arm that gets a piece of the football? Wrap it up now. He just lost contact. Well, evidently number 41 had his left arm in there, but no excuse for that fumble. You just can't continue to make mistakes like Rutgers. Well, also Cincinnati has made their share in the first half.
On first down, the give is to Reggie Taylor, stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Beshner made the stop for Rutgers. Beshner playing a new position the last couple of weeks. He was moved from left tackle to right tackle to nose guard, and he's starting to make the adjustment. Albert Smith limping off on the far side of the field. And it is homecoming weekend here at the University of Cincinnati, so lots of different types of things involved in pageantry this afternoon. 2nd and 12, Bearcats, Rutgers 42. Wilking, a lot of time, throws, and incomplete. Ball was trapped by Bill Booz at the 27-yard line.
He had Jason Stargo, the flanker, downfield all by himself. Just didn't see him. And, of course, that's the key for a quarterback. You can talk about the arm and the important things are timing and being able to read defenses and find the open man and not panicking back there.
Holding penalty will be called on Cincinnati, and Rutgers has refused the call. So it will be 2nd down and 12 at the 42. This program authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event, including the imposition of a charge for viewing the program without the express written consent of Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated, is prohibited. 3rd down, and back to throw is Wilking. Steps in the pocket, fires, complete. First down at the 26-yard line. Jason Stargall, who's having an outstanding afternoon, pulled it in before being knocked down by Carl Howard.
Yeah, Wilking showed some poise on that last play. Incidentally, Bruce, I haven't seen Jeff Curdilla back in the football game. Remember, he went out with an injury in the first half, and I don't think he has returned. Right now he's got Bill Beshner in at right tackle.
He's got Sagnella in there, and I believe Hannes, number 94. Back to pass on first down. Wilking again looks, and he's in trouble, and Lionel Washington corrals him at the 26-yard line. Big Train, who leads the team in tackles, in terms of quarterback sacks, that is, came in to make another one.
Yeah, that time it was Don Goodman, the fullback, attempting to block Lionel Washington. That's a tough assignment. Washington, a good pass rusher, good quickness, uses his height well, 6'4", rangy.
2nd down, 10, 26-yard line. One setback, that's Don Goodman. Malcolm Darden is wide left. Dino Foster wide right. Wilking, straight drop back. Throws, and it's incomplete. Intended for Ed McCall, who was in there as a tight end, and Harold Young was back in coverage. Sam, we talked a little early about Wilking, and you said, well, he doesn't throw the ball that well. I'll tell you, so far today, I'm pretty impressed. He was a outstanding high school quarterback at Moeller High School in Cincinnati. Threw for, well, 1,964 yards his senior year and 16 touchdowns. That was the last 2 seasons. He's looked pretty good today.
He didn't look very good on those 2 interceptions.
No, he didn't. But he's thrown the ball well. He throws a nice, solid pass. Here's Wilking again. Straight drop back. Fires to the outside. It's complete. Bill Booz has the reception. And Carl Howard made the stop. And that time, Wilking right on the money. Throws a pretty good spiral, doesn't he?
Yeah, that pass was there, and good coverage by Carl Howard. Let's see if he interferes with the receiver. Came up from behind, wrapped him up. And let's see now. Wilking finds his man. You see number 26 coming up. Was there contact there?
Well, anyway, it'll be a field goal attempt here for Cincinnati. It will be Mike Morton on to try a 43-yard attempt. Ball plays down. Morton's kick is up. And this one is short. And Rutgers will take over with pretty good field position. So Mike Morton, who was 7 for 9 coming into that attempt, now 7 for 10 on the season. And Cincinnati's lead is still 3 points with 12:09 left in the third quarter.
And with that extra mile. For all you overdoers who push your bodies a bit too far, there's Bufferin.
I admit it, I overdid it. I kicked like a cheerleader. Now I could kick myself.
For all your minor aches and pains, there's Bufferin.
Bufferin has aspirin, the pain reliever so many sports doctors recommend. Plus, it's buffered to help protect against aspirin's stomach upset.
I admit it. I overdid it. I didn't win. But I won't be a sore loser.
Bufferin, for when you overdo.
26-yard line. Rutgers has it. 1st and 10. They trail 10-7 in the football game. Jack LaPrairie's been in there all the way at quarterback. And on 1st down, he gives straight up the middle to Vernon Williams, who gets across the 30 to the 32. Tackle made by Jerome Brinson.
That time, Clement Udovich, the pulling guard, good trap block. Well, Rutgers once again overcame the turnover and wasn't hurt by it. Although obviously every time you turn over the football, you're taking something away from your offense. But they started this drive, or they got the ball back on the 26. That's where they had it after the opening kickoff of the second half.
Handoff again to Williams, and Vernon carries a man. That's Jerome Brinson up to the 35-yard line, short of a 1st down by about a yard. And by the way, Dwayne Hooper is in the ballgame at tailback, replacing Albert Smith, who went off with an injury after his fumble. And now Andrew Baker is down on the field with some type of injury.
We've had quite a few injuries in this football game. Defensively, Cincinnati has a strong and a weak side. Brinson is the strong side linebacker. They call him Mike. Of course, the terminology varies from team to team, but Mike and Sam for the weak side linebacker seem to be popular names for those particular assignments. Linwood Marshall is the weak side inside linebacker, and of course they do the same thing with the defensive line.
Baker goes off the field and appears to be okay. It will be 3rd down and a yard for Rutgers at the 35. Rutgers 3 for 7 so far this afternoon on 3rd down conversions. They bring in 2 tight ends, Drake and Andrews. Full house backfield. Smith back in the football game. Handoff, Smith. And I think he has it, or he's very close. Jerome Brinson made the hit. Well, maybe closer than we think.
He wrapped up the ball that time, had both hands around the football, both arms cradling the football as he went into the line.
Rutgers is signaling 1st down, but from here he looks short. And they won't even bring the chains on. So 4th down, and Rutgers will have to punt.
Watson Brown, in his first year as head coach of Cincinnati, has made a lot of changes, moved a lot of people around from one position to another in an attempt to utilize all of his talent and put people where they can play best and contribute most to the football team. Made 6 changes on that defensive unit since the end of spring practice.
Gary Liska punting to Robert Gibbs. Gibbs at the 27, and he'll take this one. He's to the 29-yard line, and that is all. So Cincinnati will start out 1st and 10 from their own 29. 10 minutes, 6 seconds left in the third quarter. Bearcats by 3. Cincinnati with the football from their own 29, 1st and 10. They lead 10-7 in the ball game. Wilging on 1st down, hands off to Don Goodman. And Goodman gets 2 or 3 up the middle. Hannes and Washington made the stop.
Talking about some of the changes that Cincinnati has made, moving people around. 2 of those offensive linemen in there right now were defensive players at the start of practice this fall. Mark Jennings, the left tackle, and Don Tusher, the right guard.
2nd down and 7 at the 32. And that time at quarterback was number 5, John Thomas. And what they do sometimes is they bring in Thomas to run the wishbone exclusively, because in high school he was a quarterback, and Mike Wilging becomes the tailback. Bill Booz, the wide receiver, is back in the ball game. Stargell goes out, and it will be 3rd down and 7 at the 32. Let's see what happens now. Now they're back to normal. Wilging is at quarterback. Wide to the right side. This time comes Booz. And Malcolm Darden goes wide left. High formation. Wilgate back to throw. Rolls out of the pocket. Looks, throws. Wide open is Malcolm Darden, and he has a first down at the Rutgers 42.
Barry Bukowski, number 56, who had a shot at the quarterback Wilgate. And of course, when the quarterback scrambles to the outside like that and gets additional time, it puts pressure on the defense. You'll see number 56 breaking in there. He's got a shot, misses him. And now you see Jim Dumont coming up. Of course, it opens up downfield. Well, he was way downfield. I don't think Jim Dumont would have been a factor in that play. Eventually brought down by Bill Houston. Certainly puts pressure on the defense when the quarterback scrambles like that.
John Thomas double reverse to Malcolm Darden, and he is tripped up in the backfield. It didn't fool anyone, especially Bob Dumont, who made the stop at the 45-yard line. So a loss of a couple of yards in the razzle-dazzle.
Just had some bad news about Jeff Cordilla, Rutgers' best defensive lineman. Tore the cruciate ligaments in his knee. Those are the interior ligaments that go right down the center, joining the femur and the tibia. That's a tough injury. We don't know the seriousness of it, but if they are torn, it's a problem.
Wilgate back to throw on second down. Scrambling out of the pocket. Still looking. Fumble. A loose football. Lionel Washington, the only man near there, and he gets it. At the 31-yard line, Rutgers will take over.
Good play by Lionel Washington. You don't want to gamble. He didn't know who was behind him, who was coming from the other side. Had he attempted to pick up the football, he might not have been able to do so. The ball might have been kicked out of bounds, and of course, if they didn't have possession, it would have reverted to Cincinnati. Nice tackle by number 94, Randy Hannes. Knocks the ball loose, fall on it. Okay, that's what he's instructed to do. And the first time he took the field as a high school football player. Don't try to pick it up, jump on it.
First and 10 Rutgers, Cincinnati 31-yard line. 8 turnovers in the football game. On first down, Albert Smith gets 4 yards off the left side.
So a good block by Clement Unovich on the play. He just had Cornelius Clark and stayed with him until the ball carrier passed him. Fine job by Unovich.
4 turnovers each team.
Cornelius Clark, that defensive tackle, had been a starting offensive guard the past 2 years. They moved him to defense.
Baker wide left, wide to the right, Gibson. LaPrairie back to throw. And he is hit from behind. Big hit by Alex Gordon, who is a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. And he really racked up LaPrairie for a loss back to the 34.
You see Cincinnati doing some of the things that Rutgers had been doing with the situation substitutions, putting in people that are better in rushing the passer in expected passing situations. That time he came over Joe Panucci. 3rd and 12 for the Scarlet Knights. Baker comes to the left. Aaron Gibson wide right. Nickelback in the ball game for Cincinnati, a 5th defensive back. LaPrairie to throw. Jumps it off to Smith. And he is stacked up and fumbles, and Cincinnati gets it back. At the 32-yard line, Alex Gordon recovers. And the Bearcats have the football, and that is the 5th turnover of the afternoon against Rutgers. Rutgers very fortunate to be trailing by only 3 points. From Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, you're watching Rutgers football on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
That brings legends to living rooms in the world of sports now also presents diversified entertainment programming, including classic television spy adventures with Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg in The Avengers, trendsetters of the art, fashion, and music world on Andy Warhol's TV, and some of the biggest names in the entertainment world with The Jonathan Schwartz Show, all on the Madison Square Garden Network. Consult your local listings for time and channel or contact your local cable system.
Catch all the excitement of big-time college football each week when Madison Square Garden Cablevision presents all the highlights of two of Eastern football's major powers. Every game of the defending national champion Nittany Lions of Penn State is highlighted each week on MSG Cablevision, as well as every game of their cross-state rivals, the Pitt Panthers. Check your local listings for time and day, Penn State and Pitt highlight shows. It's all part of the college football scene this season on Madison Square Garden Cablevision.
Bruce Beck, Sam DeLuca, Riverfront Stadium. Head coach Frank Burns of Rutgers has to be upset. His club has coughed up the ball 5 times this afternoon. First and 10, Bearcats at the 32. Taylor turns upfield at the 40. And he tiptoes down the sideline. Has a first down. He stepped out at the 44 of his own.
Now, some people will say that Rutgers was flat because of the turnover. It doesn't work that way. He just happens to break it here. Lionel Washington misses the tackle, and a good gain. He was out of bounds. He really wasn't straddling the sideline. He had been out prior to that. But that's not momentum. It's just circumstance that they should happen to get a long gainer on the first play.
Bill Booz wide to the left, out of the I formation this time on first down. Pitches to Reggie Taylor. Taylor has a couple of good lead blocks and turns upfield, gets to the 48. Don Goodman threw an excellent block on the play, and Tyrone Stowe made the tackle. Interesting story, by the way, Sam, about Goodman. He's 25 years of age. He was enlisted in the Marines for several years after high school and served as the group leader in the prestigious Reconnaissance Division for 3 years. He arrived at Cincinnati in the spring of 1982 after playing at El Camino Junior College, and now he's a senior playing for the Bearcats. Second down and 7, Cincinnati at the 47. Draw. Goodman. Big hole. And he barrels down to the Rutgers 46, close to a first down.
Well, that's been their most effective running play today, that draw play. And again, it goes with a pass-oriented offense that Cincinnati is supposed to have. We haven't seen that much of it today, but those defensive linemen have to learn that you've got to rush in your lane, and when you get burned several times, you become more aware of it. They are not responding to it, and Cincinnati continues to run that draw play successfully.
Well, they'll bring on the chains as Coach Watson Brown looks on. He's had a whole different group here at Cincinnati this year. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and, of course, the new head coach. It is a little bit short of a first down, so it will bring up 3rd and inches.
Yeah, he's really moved around since he got into coaching. We mentioned he's only 33 years old, the second youngest coach in NCAA Division I. He's been with 5 different schools since he started coaching back in 1973, including a stint as the head coach of Austin Peay in Ohio. I pronounced that correctly, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Pentultimate? Is that it?
That's right.
I believe Austin Peay is in Tennessee. I stand correct.
3rd down and 1 at the 46. Straight up the middle, Wilging, and he has the first down. Wilging, who was a basketball player in high school, also a baseball player. He's just a sophomore, and he's doing a nice job coming in after, of course, their starting quarterback, Bodine, went down with the injury and at the time ranked 6th in the nation in passing efficiency. Wilging was a first-team Catholic high school All-American pick at Moeller in 1981. In motion goes Malcolm Darden. Hand off. Goodman tracked up the line of scrimmage. That was Reggie Taylor, and Bob Dumont made the tackle.
Well, if you're at all interested in line play, as you watch this game, watch the Cincinnati offensive linemen and how they fire out differently than do the Rutgers offensive linemen. They're what are commonly referred to as finesse blockers. In other words, they don't drive with a head down the middle and try to drive people off the line of scrimmage. They will hit and turn normally.
Second down 9, Rutgers 44-yard line. Goodman straight up the middle. Gets to the 40. Wilging almost went down, handing the ball off that time to Don Goodman. It will bring up a 3rd down and about 5.
Once again, pass blocking techniques on that running play. Setting up as if it were a pass, which they do quite often, and attempting to get those defensive people to come upfield, looking to rush the passer, and then sneak that fullback through.
Well, Goodman isn't having a great day running the football. He's caught some passes. He's blocking well, but he's only picked up 19 yards on the ground. 3rd and 5 at the 40. Wilking, straight drop back, fires, incomplete. Good defensive play by Bob Dumont, who was all over Clifton Pendergrass, and it will bring up 4th down.
Well, that's the second one that very easily could have been called against Rutgers. Now watch him come from behind, gets a piece of the football. He does look like he's all over the receiver, doesn't he?
4th down. And Sean Burdick comes into the ball game. He will punt to James Shedneck, who stands back at his 10. Let's see if Rutgers tries to block this punt. Burdick gets away with no problem and hangs a high beauty. Bounces at the 12, and Cincinnati will have a chance to down it at the goal line, and they do. Number 32, Scott Ivey, was right at the goal line, facing the football the way you're supposed to be. And Rutgers will have to start from their own 1. That's a big punt.
Yeah, that was a good play by all concerned as far as Cincinnati was concerned. And, of course, Rutgers in a hole now. This puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback and your offensive line. LaPrairie just running on the field and joining his teammates in the huddle.
3:17 left in this 3rd quarter of play. Cincinnati has led all the way. They lead 10-7. And Rutgers working from their own goal line. LaPrairie sometimes throws the ball long to Baker in these situations. But on 1st down, straight give to Beleza, and Lenny gets a couple of yards. A couple weeks back, Sam, in a football game played at Rutgers Stadium against Colgate, they threw the ball from their own end zone, a 40 or 50-yard bomb to Baker. Let's see if they do it again. There's Jeff Cardilla, who is on the sideline right next to Jim Taji. And obviously he is out for the remainder of the football game and perhaps for the entire season. 2nd and 8 from the 3. LaPrairie hands off to Beleza, and Beleza gets nowhere. Jamison there to make the stop.
Jamison, the best lineman, a 2-year starter. And he had always moved around into different positions. Again, they were trying to create mismatches with him in the past. However, because of the injury to the right defensive tackle, Johnny Murphy, he moved into that position and has pretty much played there throughout the football game.
Jamison is from Bridgeton, New Jersey. 3rd down and 6, Rutgers at the 5. LaPrairie back to throw, in trouble, loses the football, and it goes out of the end zone. So Jack LaPrairie scrambling around, lost the ball. It went out of the end zone, and I believe that's a safety, Sam.
And, of course, the punt set this up, set up the safety for Cincinnati. The punt that was down on the 1-yard line, looking for somebody. Again, trying to avoid the safety, but it didn't matter.
And it came very close to being a touchdown. Number 88, Tom Eganoff, almost pulled that ball in for 6 points. Instead, Cincinnati gets 2. They lead 12-7. Rutgers will punt or kick from their own 20.
Now, really a shame about Cardilla if he does have cruciate ligaments in that knee. On several occasions this year, I ran into pro scouts at Rutgers games, and I would ask invariably who they were there to watch. There's Cardilla on the crutches, and Cardilla and Jim Dumont were the 2 that they were interested in watching.
Now, we were talking to him yesterday, and we mentioned that to him, and he said, all I want to do is win some football games,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
Which was a real unselfish comment on his part.
Do your best. That's what it's all about. Be the best football player that you can be, the thing that we were talking about Jim Dumont before.
Malcolm Darden and R.C. Smoot are back deep to await this free kick, and Gary Liska, number 4, will punt it for the Scarlet Knights. 12-7 the score. 2 minutes, 1 second left. 3rd quarter of play. And it will be Darden who takes it at the 34. He's to the 40, the 50, and Darden spins his way to the 45-yard line of Rutgers. Joe Corbin made the tackle, and now the Bearcats with excellent field position and a chance to get some more points on the scoreboard.
Now what they teach is breaking down around the punt returner in this case. Don't overshoot him. Let's see what happens. He's got a wedge in front of him, a wall. Somebody's got to get in there and break it. He breaks to the left. There was a missed tackle back there, and that's one of the things that Ted Cottrell was talking about, the missed tackles last week against Tennessee.
Wilking back to throw and first down. Fires complete, but out of bounds. Caught by Bill Booz, and he made every effort to get the feet down before he went out of bounds, but to no avail.
Yeah, Booz, their leading receiver from Vineland, New Jersey.
Matter of fact, he's fourth on their all-time reception list, third in all-time career receiving yards, and last week he kept his streak going. He now has 23 consecutive games in which he has caught a pass. Last week he made a reception in the fourth quarter against Kentucky to keep the streak alive. There's Wilking's stats on the afternoon, and the draw play to Goodman. Goodman gets down to the 42 or 43-yard line. Tyrone Stowe made the tackle. Stowe is very active as a linebacker.
He's going to be a good one. I would imagine, I've never really asked the Rutgers coaches who has responsibility for the draw play. I don't think you can ask one man to stop the draw. Obviously, the defensive tackles have considerable responsibility, but they've got to get help from the defensive ends and the inside linebackers. A lot of interdependency. Any one man breaks down, and he puts great pressure on those surrounding him.
They're down 7. Cincinnati at the Rutgers 42. Wilking back to throw, has time, fires complete. First down. Ed McCall has his second reception of the afternoon, and it's good at the Rutgers 34.
When he hooks up over the middle like that, there's really not much you can do to deflect the football or to prevent the pass unless the linebackers are getting deep drops. You saw Tyrone Stowe, number 41, trying to get there. All you can do is, after the catch, make sure you rack up that receiver. Hopefully cause him to lose the football.
45 seconds left, third quarter. Reggie Taylor follows the lead block. Gets down to the 30-yard line. Harold Young and Bill Houston came up to make the tackle.
Of course, the turnovers and other mistakes on the part of the Rutgers offense have put the defense in a hole on numerous occasions today.
Cincinnati is 3-4-1 on the year, but they've lost to Oklahoma State, who's an excellent football team. They lost to Oklahoma and Nebraska, yes, but that's Big 8, big powerhouse football. Wilking, draw play. Wide open is Reggie Taylor, and he bounces down to the 21 and has another first down before Jim Dumont made the stop.
A pretty good block by Don Goodman on Dumont. Let's see what happens here. Number 53 reads it, comes up. And there you see number 36. Look, he's blocking like those offensive linemen.
He
hit
still
him
got
and
him.
Stayed up on him. Didn't try to overwhelm him. See, too many people hit and splatter when they go to block linebackers. Linebackers looking to use your momentum, the offensive man's momentum, to elude the block. That time Goodman just stayed up on him and walled him off.
The only scoring in that third quarter of play is safety, and Cincinnati takes a 5-point lead into the fourth quarter of play. Wilking has Stargell wide to the left, and Dino Foster wide right. Wilking blitzes on, Stowe's after him, and Wilking throws it away. Tyrone Stowe came busting through from his left linebacker spot and put the pressure on.
Well, Reggie Taylor was just standing there, the tailback or halfback for Cincinnati, and he just let Stowe run right by him. Didn't see him coming. Should have been more alert.
I mentioned that Cincinnati lost to Oklahoma State. They've also lost to a powerful Florida State team, a strong club from Miami of Florida, and they beat Penn State. That's no patsy schedule.
Now, they play a tough schedule. In fact, when they lost to Miami a couple of weeks ago, that was the first time they had fallen below 500 since 1981.
Pitch back to Reggie Taylor, turns the corner, he's at the 10, and Stowe makes a saving tackle at the 9-yard line. Reggie Taylor, the freshman from Linwood, California, continues to excel this afternoon.
Little guy, good quickness, Gets a couple of offensive linemen out there in front of him. Number 63 gets a good block on Jim Dumont. Another block downfield. I didn't see who threw that one, but he had some good blocking.
21 carries this afternoon for Reggie Taylor, and he's around 90 yards for the day.
It was Ted Cottrell in the hat standing next to Frank Burns, the defensive coordinator for Rutgers. Not very happy.
First and goal, Cincinnati at the 8. Wilking rolls to his right, has a man wide open, throws incomplete. Wide open, Clifton Pendergrass, and he'll see that one in his dreams tonight.
Well, the ball seemed to be thrown almost perfectly. Nobody covering Pendergrass. Rolling out. Everybody was blitzing. You see all the Rutgers people up front. The ball was thrown a little high, but he looked a little awkward going for it, didn't he?
He should have had that one.
Yes, I would think so.
Second down, goal at the 8-yard line. Malcolm Darden checks in. He's in a slot right. Wide right, Bill Booz. Lone setback is Don Goodman. Wilking pitches to Goodman. Cuts back and goes down after getting maybe a yard. And again, Tyrone Stowe was not fooled and made the tackle.
Let's watch and see if we can get number 41, the freshman linebacker for Rutgers, who has started the last 4 games. So Jim Dumont, Randy Hannes, number 94, that little lateral. And Stowe comes in and upends him. Good tackle and a little cheer.
Stowe is from Passaic High School in Passaic, New Jersey, and he's learning from a good one, Jimmy Dumont, and he continues to improve with each and every week. Third quarter statistics, here's a look at it. Boy, look at total yards, Sam, almost 2-1 in favor of Cincinnati.
And time of possession, 28.5 minutes to 16.5 minutes.
And look at turnovers, 5-4. Rutgers has committed 5 and Cincinnati 4.
Would you say it was a sloppy football game? And I think both coaches expected a rather low-scoring football game, which is what we have here at Cincinnati leading 12-7.
Watson Brown is shaking his head after that offensive holding call moves the football back to the 19. And it's second down and goal at the 19. Wilking back to throw, sets up a screen and threw it out of bounds because Bob Dumont and number 65 for Rutgers, that's Billy Beshner, had set up looking for the screen, and Don Goodman would have had nowhere to go.
Yeah, another play that is really designed to go with a pass-oriented offense. The draw play and the screen play. It sets up like a show pass. Watch the offensive linemen. They don't fire out, set up, say, hey, it's another pass. Inviting those people. You saw Randy Hannes leaving the offensive center. He goes out into the wall. He just couldn't find a receiver out there. He knew that there were 3 Rutgers defenders in the area and wisely threw it away.
Third and goal. Wilking looking, throwing long, and it's incomplete. And a flag is down on the play. The pass was intended for Jason Stargall, and Carl Howard had him well covered. And again, back in the area where you expect offensive holding, and that's what the call will be.
Now they're making their share of mistakes also. That pass was intended for Jason Stargall. He was the backup wide receiver last year to Dino Foster, who had been outstanding through the 4th game of the 1982 season when he sustained a knee injury. He was held out the rest of the year and held out of spring practice. He's a deep threat. They say their best receiver when he's healthy. However, he never really recovered from that knee injury. And Jason Stargall starting this year in place of Dino Foster, who has been relegated to a backup role.
Watson Brown is livid on the sidelines. Another penalty will be marked off against the Bearcats. The ball comes back to the 29. So from the 9 to the 29, and it's still goal to go.
Rutgers still very much in this football game, despite the discrepancy in stats.
Terry Monk has been a busy customer this afternoon. Cincinnati, wow, that's a lot of third down conversions for one football game. They're 10 for 17. Wilking back to throw. Fires complete to Reggie Taylor. He gets by one man and gets to the 17. Tyrone Stowe, Butch Young there to make the stop. 4th down, and on for a field goal comes Mike Morton.
Now, Rutgers will readily concede the short pass in this long yardage situation, but of course after the completion, you've got to come up and make the tackle, and you'll see number 41, Tyrone Stowe, making a pretty sure tackle here.
Tim Brennan will hold for the field goal attempt. Mike Morton will try in a 35-yard attempt. Ball placed down. It's up. He has the distance. It's good. And Cincinnati has widened their lead to 8 points. 13 minutes, 17 seconds left in the football game. And the Bearcats now lead it 15-7. Bruce Beck, Sam DeLuca back at Riverfront Stadium. Cincinnati now leads by 8 points with 13 minutes and change left in the football game. A field goal by Mike Morton, his 8th of the season, and 2nd of the afternoon, has given Cincinnati that 8-point lead. Mark Ryan set to kick off. James Shedneck deep for Rutgers, but the wind blew the football off the tee, so they'll have to line it up again.
Andrew Baker has 2 receptions on the day for 27 yards. Let's see if some footballs arrive with his name on it. Remember, after Rutgers had those alley-oop type passes, and Baker said, the football has my name on it. We work on it at practice. This is the time they need one of those.
A poor kick by Ryan, and it goes out of bounds, and a penalty will be assessed against Cincinnati. I was talking to Baker at the airport yesterday, and I asked him about those balls with his name on it, and he says he just believes that he can get any football that's thrown anywhere near him. That's confidence for you.
You have to believe that, but of course it doesn't happen all the time, as we very well know.
81, Andrew Baker from Trenton, New Jersey. That last scoring drive by the Bearcats. 11 plays, 46 yards. Morton hit the field goal from 35 yards out. And those 3 points are a big 3 points, because even if Rutgers scores a touchdown and gets a 2-point conversion at this point, the best they could do is tie. 5-yard penalty assessed against Cincinnati, and Mark Ryan will try again, this time from the 35-yard line. Still a lot of time left in the ball game. 13 minutes, 17 seconds. Ryan hits this one much better. Shedneck at the 8-yard line. He's to the 20 and goes down at the 21. So Rutgers doesn't gain much in terms of field position. Dan Sellers down on the play, and Kendall Nance, number 6, all excited. Rutgers will take over from the 21. Most of Cincinnati's penalties today have been dead ball fouls, either encroachment or illegal motion or illegal procedure.
They've run the ball fairly effectively against Rutgers, 137 yards on the ground. Coming into today's game, they had been averaging just 107 rushing.
1st and 10, Scarlet Knights, 21-yard line. LaPrairie right to the air. Sets up, has time, throws, incomplete. Over Baker's head. Never really had a shot at it.
And he had him, too. He was all alone. That's about the 3rd time today that LaPrairie has grossly overthrown his receiver. Got to take something off the football. And when you're throwing over the middle, of course, you want to throw it low to begin with.
Second down, 10, 21-yard line. Wide to the right this time is Gibson. Straight give off to Beleza, and Lenny Beleza gets 4 or 5 yards. That's been the most effective Rutgers play of the day, giving the ball to Beleza on a quick trap, and Beleza just pushing it out.
Like Dwayne Hooper in the football game. We haven't seen him in a while. Of course, he had been alternating with Albert Smith at the tailback spot and went down with an injury early in the year.
He broke a hand in the Army game. This is his first playing time since then. 3rd down, 5 at the 26. LaPrairie back to throw. And he is dumped from behind by Alex Gordon. 2nd time today that Gordon has gotten to LaPrairie, and Rutgers will have to boot it away. The announcers on this telecast were selected by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated.
Yeah, Alex Gordon, just a freshman, 6'5", and that's always a big advantage when you're rushing the passer, that height advantage on the offensive lineman.
Robert Gibbs awaiting this punt from Gary Liska. Liska back at his own 4-yard line. Here they come. Liska gets it away, but it's not a good punt. I don't know if it was deflected or not. Takes a Rutgers bounce.
Does it ever?
And will finally die at the 49-yard line of Rutgers. Liska getting about 25 yards on the roll. And Cincinnati will start from the Scarlet 49 with 11:28 to play and an 8-point lead. Rutgers 49-yard line. They have an 8-point lead. Hand off to Reggie Taylor. Stowe is after him. Taylor turns the corner, and Bob Dumont made the first contact at the 46-yard line. You always say that those runners with a small frame, he's 5'7", 170, have that low center of gravity, and they're tough to bring down.
Tough to bring down, and also the lack of height in his case, it can almost be an advantage. They can sneak under tacklers, and remember, there's a lot of action. When you're sitting in the stands or watching it on television, you have a clear view of what's happening. But for those defensive people, sometimes it's hard to find the ball carrier, especially behind a large offensive line.
Here's Goodman. Goodman down to the 42-yard line. Tony Sagnella made the tackle for Rutgers.
And that little bit of extra quickness that a smaller player has is really the saving factor. This is what prevents those hard hits. Nobody ever really gets a good, clean shot at a very quick, undersized halfback. That's the reason they can survive in this game of bigger people.
Clifton Pendergrass checks in. He moves to the right side of the field along with Dino Foster, who's split wide right. Stargell wide left. Wilging to throw. Look at the time. Finally, the pocket erodes, but the pass is still complete to Clifton Pendergrass, and it's good for a first down.
Well, we saw that earlier in the game when the Prairie threw the touchdown pass, and we were wondering why the official didn't blow the whistle, and of course now it works for Cincinnati as Wilging sets up, looking for his man, can't find anyone. Finally, is that Sagnella who wraps him up and just has one leg, and before his teammates could get there, Wilging unloaded the football.
Must have been pretty good coverage in the secondary. He had a lot of time and still couldn't get rid of the ball.
They were rushing just 3 people, so they had 8 people in coverage.
Wow, that's a big differential in first downs. 20-6 Cincinnati, and Reggie Taylor looking for another one. He barrels down near the 25 and close to a first down. Bill Houston, Tyrone Stowe made the tackle. Taylor is over the 100-yard mark today. 23 carries, 108 yards.
And he has more all by himself than Cincinnati had been averaging coming into today's game.
Personally, coming into today's game, Taylor had 507 yards, averaging 5.1 yards per carry. This is best individual game, though. Second down and a yard. Taylor, and he has the first down. Jim Dumont and Dan Errico made the tackle.
Let's watch Jim Dumont once again. Linebacker tries to outrun the blockers whenever he can. This time he disengages from the Pendergrass, who is attempting to block him, and makes the tackle. Fine play.
First down, Cincinnati. Rutgers 25. The clock is on their side. 9:16 and counting down. Fourth quarter.
Linwood Taylor, along with several other players, I think they have 5 altogether from California. Why do you suppose someone would come from California to Cincinnati to go to school?
Well, here's a pitch back to Reggie Taylor, and Taylor gets down to the 19-yard line. Well, it's possible that one of the members of the coaching staff had roots there, and therefore you would recruit in that area. The other thing is I think this is a great city. I've been here only a couple of days, but I think it's fantastic. You're quiet. You're quiet.
I have no great views on Cincinnati. Yeah.
By the way, Sam, where did the name Cincinnati come from? I'm going to quiz you on that in a couple of moments. I'm going to give you a chance to study. Second down and 5 at the 19-yard line. And the give is to Reggie Taylor. And again, the little man carries people with him. Tyrone Stowe, Tony Sagnella made the tackle. This is just a great individual effort by Taylor.
Saved by the replay. I don't have to answer that question, Bruce.
You will.
Here's Taylor Good blocking up front. Waits for Goodman to get his block. Goodman's a fine fullback, isn't he? Good blocking fullback. Runs fairly well. Cincinnati was named after the Society of Cincinnati. A group of revolutionary officers formed this political party or club right after the war. George Washington was one of the first leaders of the organization. Where does the name Cincinnati come from? That's where.
Very good. Down on the football field right now for Rutgers, an injured player. It's Jim Dumont. And we've seen this scene so often. Dumont goes down with injuries and usually leaves and usually comes back, and it looks again like it might be a leg cramp.
Well, he's quite a football player.
How many presidents are from Cincinnati? That's your next question.
No, this
one more.
Actually, the name Cincinnati itself came from Titus Quintentius Cincinnatus. He was a farmer in the 5th century B.C. He came off his farm to lead wars twice, once in 458 B.C. and again in 439 B.C. He was a dictator of Rome 2 times.
Well, the state of Ohio, not Cincinnati in particular, has produced 7 presidents. So that's a pretty interesting statistic. Jim Dumont is up and walking off, and I would expect to see him back in the football game.
And Tony Sagnello also leaving with some assistance, not really, but somebody accompanying him, so I would expect that he might have been shaken up on the play also.
Rutgers has been banged up this afternoon. Cincinnati 8-3-1 in their last 12 homecoming games and looking for another victory today. Rutgers has lost Jeff Cardillo with a knee injury this afternoon. It's 1st and 10. Cincinnati at the 14-yard line, and here's Reggie Taylor spinning and turning and getting a yard or an extra yard each time. Stowe and Errico made the stop, but Taylor picked up 6, and that offensive line is beginning to blow people out.
Now let's see if they've changed their technique now, and if they try to drive people off. No, you see that number 61 hit and turn. See, he went for position, and it worked pretty good. And there you see once again number 36, Don Goodman, laying it to one of the linebackers. Good blocker from his fullback position. 2nd
and 4, Bearcats at the 8-yard line. Taylor again gets a couple of more up the middle. Beshner, Washington made the tackle. I think Gene Beck, the center for Cincinnati, has played
well.
well.
To remember.
Well,
Beck.
he moves this game, Sam, from left guard to center, and you should know, being a offensive lineman.
Well, he had played.
Is that a difficult move or not?
Yeah, it's a difficult move. Takes some time, but obviously he's played it before. He played some there last year, and he was a center in high school, so a little bit easier for him.
3rd down and goal at the 6, and this is a big defensive series right here for Rutgers.
Gene Beck, also from California, junior college.
3rd and 2. Wilking rolls out, looking in trouble. Throws incomplete. And it brings up 4th down and 2. And on comes the field goal team.
Tyrone Stowe was blitzing on the play, and he was running down the quarterback, Wilking, forcing him to throw, I guess, a little prematurely, or he really didn't have an open man downfield.
Mike Morton on to try a 23-yard field goal. Morton is 2 for 3 today. And he gets the distance, and he kicks it perfectly. So the Bearcats have widened their lead to 11 points. That's a big field goal, and it makes Rutgers have to score twice to get back in the ball game. Cincinnati 18, Rutgers 7.
If you're ready for high-performance
field goal last week, Cincinnati tied Kentucky, and they missed a field goal, a 39-yard field goal with 17 seconds remaining. So field goal has played an important part in their season.
Morton had hit 6 in a row before that attempt. He's having a pretty good season. But Mark Ryan handles the kickoff chores, and he drills it to James Shedneck, who has it at the 5. Shedneck to the 15, and he's upended at the 16-yard line. That was a great play by Glenn Felser, number 53. Great individual play on the specialty teams. Rutgers starts out from their own 16. They need to generate offense if they're going to have any shot this afternoon. They trail 18-7. Clock is not on their side with 6:33 to play. And if they're going to get something going, they're going to have to start right now. Aaron Gibson, wide right. Baker, wide left. The Prairie to throw on first down. In trouble. And he keeps his balance. Gains 3 yards on the play. Tackle finally made by Boyd Jackson. That last Cincinnati scoring drive, and the big thing we're seeing today is a lot of plays. Cincinnati, whether they're going 49 yards or 70 yards, they're eating up the clock and they're generating a lot of plays, and hence the big difference today in time of possession. It's been one-sided in Cincinnati's favor. La Prairie, quick toss to Dwayne Hooper, and Hooper close to a first down. Hooper, a junior from Woodlawn, Maryland, back in the lineup after that broken hand, and he has the necessary yardage for a first down.
Cincinnati had pretty good total yardage last week in that tie with Kentucky. They had outgained Kentucky 374 total yards to 260.
First and 10, Rutgers, 28-yard line. La Prairie back to throw. Has time, throws complete to Andrews at the 36. Andrews to the 42 and has a Rutgers first down. Robert Gibbs made the tackle. Andrews is having a fine season. Coming into today, he led the team with 36 receptions. Already in this football game, he has 4 or 5 and has caught a touchdown pass. 5:30 to play. Rutgers at their own 41. First and 10. La Prairie sets up. Throws complete to Baker. And Baker has another first down at the Cincinnati 38. Third reception of the afternoon for Baker. No tackler, and Gibbs made the tackle.
Okay, when you're in a bind and when you need the big play, Rutgers goes to their big play man, Andrew Baker, who has done it for them so many times this year. That time it wasn't an alley-oop. Just cut down over the middle, and La Prairie was on target. Baker now has 3 for 48 yards.
First and 10 at the 37. Rutgers moving the ball well in this drive. La Prairie, straight drop back. Plenty of time. Throws incomplete, and a flag is down. Pass interference will be called on Scott Ivey, number 32, who really hammered Aaron Gibson, number 3.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Gibson has interfered with on this play. Watch him break. Well, it comes back. It's a comeback. Break when you hook and then come back toward the line of scrimmage. You see the defender coming over the top, and he clearly makes contact before the ball arrives.
Scarlet Knights first down, 27-yard line of Cincinnati. 5 minutes left in the football game. Bearcats lead 18-7. Handoff to Vernon Williams with a big hole, and Williams powers inside the 15 to the 14-yard line, and Rutgers has another first down.
Watch those linebackers blitzing on the play. There you see number 22, the safety coming up, runs right by Vernon Williams. The blitz is always a gamble, whether it be a pass or a run. If you're not in the right spot, there are no people downfield or fewer people downfield to make the tackle. Not much yardage on that play.
A pretty good hit by Errol Cleveland. And it will bring up second down in about 10. Like you say, you just can't throw the football on every down, even when you're playing catch-up. You have to try to run to keep the defense honest.
Got to have balance. Got to be unpredictable. No best time to do anything in football, including blitz. The best time is when the opposition doesn't expect it. Best time to run, the best time to pass also.
Second down and 10. La Prairie rolls out, looks, throws, and it's caught by Baker, but out of the end zone. I should say out of bounds. He was in the end zone, but was out of bounds when he caught the football. Incompleted pass.
Watch him break toward the sideline, and watch him use his body now to keep the defender from getting a piece of the football. Nice play, nice pass, just a little bit out of bounds.
Pretty close. Third and 10, Rutgers, 15-yard line, 4:05 left in the ball game. La Prairie back to throw. Pressure's on. He fires, and it's incomplete. intended for Baker, but Terry Noble, young man from Somerville, New Jersey, stepped in and knocked the play. And there's a flag in the backfield, and it looks like it may be a roughing the passer penalty.
Another break.
Against Cincinnati, which would give Rutgers an automatic first down. Nope, it's face mask. But that should be a first down also if it's flagrant.
Fine play by Baker because the defensive back had a better shot at the football. In fact, he had the only shot at the football, and Baker did well to deflect it in that case. His role was not to catch it, but just to knock it away.
Grabbing the face mask, the penalty against Cincinnati. It is still third down. It is not an automatic first down on grabbing the face mask. So Rutgers at the 10, third, and call it 5.
Watson Brown looks as if he might have played wide receiver.
Big play for Rutgers. 3:59 left in the football game. 3rd and 5 at the Cincinnati 10. The Prairie rolls behind Owen. Looks, throws, touchdown, Alan Andrews. And Rutgers hangs in the football game.
Flag on the play. Let's see if it was against Rutgers, and I think it is.
It will all come back. Offensive holding, the preliminary call against Rutgers.
Does tend to even out, doesn't it? Rutgers had several penalties go for them on this drive. Not a bad pass by LaPrairie. He didn't have anyone wide open, and he has pretty good touch on the football, hoping to utilize Andrews' height in this instance. Nice lead block there. Who was that? DeGilio? Owens?
72 is really out there.
Just lofted it up and said, get up there, Alan.
So Rutgers now will have 3rd and 15 at the 20. Penalty against the Scarlet Knights for holding. High formation, Hooper the tailback. The Prairie back to throw, and the pass is deflected and incomplete. Knocked down by George Jamison. There he is, number 82. And it brings up a 4th down and 15.
Jamison, not a big defensive lineman, only 6'1", about 226 pounds. Shouldn't have been able to get a piece of that football.
4th down, and Rutgers will go for it. They need 2 scores to have a shot at winning this football game. 4th and 15, LaPrairie to throw. Has time, throwing for Baker. Incomplete. Jumping game, and Baker couldn't get to it with 3 black shirts around him, and Cincinnati will take over from their own 20.
Well, I guess it didn't have his name on it, but it would have been another remarkable catch had he made it, because the ball hung up there so long that 2 or 3 other people, look how many people are around it in addition to Baker. Got 2 defenders going up. He does outleap number 22, but just can't hold on to it as he tries to bring it down and tuck it away.
He really got hammered coming down by Scott Ivey. On 1st down, Reggie Taylor goes back to work, and he's wrestled down by Jim Dumont, who throws Taylor out of bounds at the 20.
Watson Brown was not a wide receiver, I'm told, by our producer Peter Blank, but a quarterback. 69, 70, and 71. For Vanderbilt?
Yes, sir.
Was he good?
I don't know. I didn't see him play.
Okay.
Cincinnati has the lead with 3:33 to play and an 11-point margin, 18-7. Flag is down on the play. And we'll get that call in a moment.
Situation where Rutgers has to make something happen. They have been blitzing more in this game and last week than they did in the early part of the season. But, of course, in a situation like this, you've got to turn it over, and they've got to do something, so probably the blitz.
And here's the call, and it will be against Cincinnati, but declined by Rutgers. Next week, the Scarlet Knights and the Mountaineers of West Virginia with All-American quarterback Jeff Hostetler. You can watch all the action Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. with a repeat telecast Sunday morning at 9. Madison Square Garden Cablevision will be there at Mountaineer Stadium in Morgantown next week to bring you all the excitement of Rutgers football as they take on the highly touted Mountaineers. 1st and 10. And the handoff again goes to Reggie Taylor. He's been a workhorse so far today. Taylor has carried the ball now 30 times.
Nice play by Randy Hannes coming from his nose guard position to make the tackle clear on the outside of the tight end. And of course, once again, we should mention that Jeff Cordilla went down with a knee injury in the first half, and he's not playing, and that's a big loss for Rutgers and for Jeff Cordilla.
3rd down, 9 yards to go for the Bearcats from their own 21-yard line. They lead 18-7, 2:56 left in the ball game. Yep, Don Goodman gets the call, and Don Goodman gets to the 22. It will bring up a punting situation on 4th down.
Don Goodman, another one of those Cincinnati players that attended junior college. We mentioned there were 5 starters and many others on the roster who had attended junior college before coming to Cincinnati.
Sean Burdick checks into the ball game. And James Shedneck will drop back deep for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Official timeout on the field. If Rutgers is going to do it, they're going to have to do it in a hurry with 2:43 left in the football game, trailing 18-7. Cincinnati scored first in the first quarter, went up 7-0 on a 2-yard run by Taylor. Then Morton hit a 36-yard field goal to give the Bearcats a 10-0 lead. LaPrairie found Andrews for a touchdown to cut the lead to 10-7 at halftime. And here in the second half, it's been all Cincinnati with a safety and 2 Morton field goals. The short punt, and it will go out of bounds at the 48-yard line. So Rutgers will have good field position, 2:35 left in the ball game, and they trail by 11 points. And they almost got to this one, Sam.
They almost did. Let's see now, not a bad snap. A little slow in getting it away. And number 82 for Rutgers almost got a piece of it.
That's Timothy Britton. Rutgers ball from their own 48. LaPrairie sets up, throws it incomplete. In and out of the hands of Dwayne Hooper. And almost picked off by Linwood Marshall, who has been a fixture on this defensive unit. He's played a good football game.
Yes, he has.
He's pretty big. He's 6'2", 244. Rutgers with 2 timeouts left in the ball game. Must be great to have a linebacker with his speed and at the same time 240 pounds plus.
Transfer from Ohio State. Also a lot of experience. He's a senior.
LaPrairie rolling out of the pocket, gets out of bounds, stops the clock, picks up 4 or 5 yards. Alex Gordon and Scott Ivey chase LaPrairie out of bounds. 2:22 left in the football game.
LaPrairie 11 for 22 for 102 yards. He's thrown 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown. Mike Wilging for Cincinnati is 16 for 35 for 201 yards. He also has thrown 2 interceptions and no touchdowns.
LaPrairie straight drop back. In trouble. And he is being dragged down. Errol Cleveland grabbed LaPrairie's arm and said, "I'm sending you to the canvas."
Well, watch number 74, Jim Keating, try to protect his quarterback here. You see he's coming in. He grabs him. You see him tugging. He's actually trying to, had his arms wrapped around the Cincinnati defender. Still couldn't keep him off the quarterback.
4th and 19. Last chance for the Scarlet Knights. Long for Baker. And it is picked off by Ben Haley back at the 21-yard line. Haley should have let that ball go, and Cincinnati would have had the ball with much better field position. But in any event, the Bearcats with the lead and 1:49 left in the football game, and they have it 1st and 10 from their own 21.
Yeah, Ben Haley, the free safety, just waiting for that football in deep coverage. He was free and deep downfield, reacting to the quarterback's eyes and where he was looking and where he was going to throw the ball. He's a senior. He won his starting job as a freshman against Rutgers back in 1980. In that game, he made 5 tackles, 8 assists, and an interception.
On first down, they give us to Taylor. He is stacked up at the 20-yard line by Tyrone Stowe, who has played a marvelous football game. Thanks up here in the booth today to our spotters, Don Poplar and Louis Shane, statisticians, John Murdo, Jeff Sadow, and to our stage manager, Mark Herklotz. Also, special thanks to the sports information director at Cincinnati, Tom Hathaway, and to head coach Watson Brown for taking their time with us yesterday, providing us with the updated information, and to Rutgers coach Frank Burns and his staff, and sports information director Bob Smith. Don Goodman gets the call and picks up a couple up the middle. Stowe and Washington in on the tackle for Rutgers.
But Tyrone Stowe has just been outstanding today. He probably has more tackles than Jim Dumont today. Coming into today's game, he had 45 tackles. And remember, he's only started the last 4 games for Rutgers. Mercer Hedgeman had started during the early part of the season.
I just wanted to mention that the Rutgers soccer team is really enjoying success this season. They're 14-0-2. They're ranked number 6 in the nation in NCAA Division I play. They beat the University of Connecticut this past week, a soccer power in NCAA Division I, and they're really having a great year. Matter of fact, the Cosmos of the NASL were beaten in an exhibition play by NCAA Division I teams, and one of them, the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. So congratulations to Coach Riasso and his team as they continue pursuit of a national championship.
Yeah, John Tusha, who you just saw leave the game, started at offensive guard today. He had been a defensive player. We mentioned before that Watson Brown had made a lot of changes when he took over as the head coach for Cincinnati this season, trying to put people in the positions that he thought they could contribute most to his football team.
56 seconds left on 3rd and 7. Goodman, Powers behind his offensive line, Gene Beck, Louis Pagan, and John Tushar. A lot of plays for Cincinnati. Sam, 84 offensive plays.
Quite a few.
Yes, that is.
They ran the ball fairly well, much better than they had been doing prior to today's game, and of course they passed fairly effectively also. They had a well-balanced offense. Most of the running yardage, I would say, came off of those draw plays or plays designed to go with the passing type offense.
Fourth and 3 at the 28-yard line, and back in punt formation is Sean Burdick. James Shedneck waiting for the punt. Cincinnati leading Rutgers 18-7. And this ball game just about history. Burdick has not had a lot of success today. Shanked a couple off the side of his foot. Rutgers trying to block the punt, but Burdick gets it away. Another short punt. And this time it takes a Cincinnati bounce, and Rutgers will start from the 36-yard line. We're at Riverfront Stadium, located on the banks of the Ohio River. Matter of fact, the Ohio begins at the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Three River Stadium, where the Allegheny meets the Monongahela. Is that right, Sam?
That's right.
All right. Anyway, Rutgers has the ball with 38 seconds left in the ball game. Jack LaPrairie. He never gives up. Tosses it to Albert Smith, and Smith gets to the 46-yard line. One thing about this Rutgers football team, no matter how many points they're behind at any point of the football game, they simply don't put their heads down and quit. They play very, very hard to the end. And credit should be given to the team and the coaching staff for that ability to continue to play hard. LaPrairie to throw. And he fires one deep for Baker. And it is picked off by Ben Haley. His second interception of the afternoon, and Haley returns it up near midfield.
When that ball is thrown up in the air like that and anybody has a shot at it, the weak safety or the safety playing deep center field actually has the best shot at it because he's coming up to the football. Baker running toward the football. Obviously, the man approaching it can use his body better to better advantage.
And that is it. The final score, Cincinnati 18, Rutgers 7. Will come.
Rutgers Sports Review with Pat Delsey.
brought to you by the Red Circle Bank, New Jersey National Bank.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome once again to the Rutgers Sports Review. I am Pat Delsey with you every week as we take a look at what's happening at Rutgers University on the sports scene. Of course, today we'll be talking with Coach Frank Burns with highlights from last week's Cincinnati contest, and we have some previews of the West Virginia game coming up this weekend. We also have Juliet Miller, the volleyball coach here at Rutgers University, and we have some highlights from the Penn State game, the game in which they won in that match with Penn State last week at the Rutgers Invitational Tournament. All of this and much more coming up here on the Rutgers Sports Review after we pause for this message.
I'm Rick Herman, General Manager of Plum, where you'll find the great names in jewelry, watches, and giftware, from Omega, Lennox, and Yadro, at remarkable down-to-reality discounts. Since Plum's beginning, New Jersey National has been our bank, and we've never had a problem. They work closely and knowledgeably with us through account officers who know our needs and who demonstrate in the process that building New Jersey business is New Jersey National's business.
Rutgers football fans know it. New Jersey is Scarlet Knight country. For 1983, that means an exciting season of Rutgers football as the Scarlet Knights take on some of the top teams in the nation. Don't miss any of this challenging schedule. For information on individual game and group tickets, call 201-932-2766. That's 201-932-2766 for Rutgers football.
Welcome back to the Rutgers Sports Review. This week, as always, we have as our special guest Coach Frank Burns. Coach, a tough one at Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. Both teams having quite a bit of turnovers. A game, of course, that was a close contest from a score standpoint, but a disappointing one for Rutgers.
Very disappointing, Pat. You know, the Cincinnati coach made a statement after the game. He said it wasn't a pretty game. Now, I don't know what that means. I've never seen a pretty football game, but
they're only pretty when you win.
Yeah, right. But he said that they managed to win, and that's very true. They deserved to win the football game. They out-hit us and they outplayed us most of the game.
The turnovers, a lot of people say, we were joking before the broadcast, you practiced those turnovers, don't you?
Well, it sure looks like it. We had enough of them for a football season last Saturday. We had 7 turnovers, and it looked like we practiced them right.
What is the circumstance in the mind of the young man? Is it a matter of pressing too hard sometimes, a little bit of overkill?
Well, I think sometimes you have to attribute it to the opponent. Sometimes a ball carrier gets hit real hard. A player puts his helmet on the football and, causes a fumble. But I don't think that was true Saturday in our case. I think in some cases it's maybe a little bit of carelessness, and many times, especially when a team is losing, I think the players have a tendency to try too hard, and I think that's a cause of some turnovers.
Some outstanding play that you can recall during the course of the contest from some individual?
Well, I would say this. I'd say a freshman stands out more than anybody else. Tyrone Stowe from Passaic, New Jersey, had a great football game, in my opinion, and he had 17 unassisted tackles. He had 6 assists, and he pressured the quarterback once. He was all over the football field. Lionel Washington, I thought, probably had the best game he's had this season. He was very aggressive. He had 10 individual tackles. He had 9 assisted tackles. He had 2 sacks. And I was very pleased with Carl Howard's play at the left cornerback. Carl's had some problems this season, early in the season, but he's really come along the last few games. And I think he had his best football game overall in his career. He played exceptionally well, as did Danny Errico, our right cornerback.
Defensively, any feelings about your overall defense?
The overall defense, let's put it this way, Pat, they were on the field too long, for sure. We kept turning the ball over, and Cincinnati, I think, had the ball 12 minutes and 30 seconds longer than we did. So that's almost a quarter longer with the football, and I think that was the result. I think our defense played pretty well overall. We still had a problem in the third down and long areas. In the third down situation, they had 22 third down opportunities, they converted 11, and you and I know that's way too many. It should be much less than that.
That is, I think we're going to see some great spots in the offensive activity. There's one particular part of our highlights that's almost incredible, a pass by LaPrairie where he's able to get a touchdown out of what should have been a sack.
Yeah, there's no doubt about
20
that.
seconds before he threw the ball. But we're going to take a look at all the highlights right now of the game at Riverfront Stadium against the Cincinnati Bearcats. And we begin on a 2nd and goal from the 2. Cincinnati's tailback Reggie Taylor scores, making it 6-0. Point after touchdown was good, so they take a 7-0 lead on their second possession in the first quarter. Late in the first quarter after that, Rutgers halts a Cincinnati drive when Mike Wilgig's pass to Ed McCall is intercepted by Carl Howard.
I thought Carl made a very fine play on that. We were in man-to-man coverage, and he was on their best receiver at that time. As I say, I was very satisfied with Carl's play in the Cincinnati football game.
We're going to see a nice replay from the end zone on that interception by Carl.
This is a post pattern against man coverage. Carl played him from the inside out. I think he got a little bit of a nick on the receiver that time. Fortunately, we weren't called for it.
The first quarter ended 7-0. Cincinnati added to its lead when Mike Morton kicked a 36-yard field goal, making it 10-0. And then the longest run of the game was turned in by Rutgers fullback Len Beleza when he went 29 yards. Beleza, by the way, had 76 yards on 12 carries.
He had a fine football game, Pat. He not only ran the ball well, but he blocked very, very well. And again, he has 3 more years remaining. I think he's going to have a great career at Rutgers.
Rutgers stopped another Cincinnati scoring chance when Bill Houston intercepts Mike Wilgig's 42-yard pass in the end zone. And we'll see a replay on that.
This is Wilgig going back to pass now. It comes off of the sprint draw fake. I think he overthrew this pass some. If you look at it, it looks like it's going to go right to Billy, and Billy takes the interception in the end zone.
Now, Rutgers' only touchdown came in the second quarter on an 80-yard drive, and here we'll see some of the plays in that drive. The first one, Jack LaPrairie bootlegs a pass to Andrew Baker for 13 yards.
The bootleg pass was pretty effective all day long, Pat.
On a 2nd and 6 from the Rutgers 49, LaPrairie again passes, this time to Aaron Gibson for 14.
He's got good protection, gets the ball. This is Gibson's. I guess it's his first varsity catch. He's just a young kid. He's a freshman, and he's been coming along pretty well for us. He replaced Boris Pendergrass, who was injured.
On a 1st and 10 from the 26 of Cincinnati, LaPrairie passes to Baker. This one's good for 15 yards. Down around the 10.
I think overall offensive line gave LaPrairie pretty good protection. We had a few problems during the afternoon, but not too many.
On the very next play, Beleza runs around left end for 9 yards down to the Cincinnati 2.
Thought that was a pretty good move he put on the Cincinnati cornerback.
And he almost got in. 3 plays later, LaPrairie under pressure, and watch this pressure.
I don't think he could be under any more pressure than that. About 4 or 5 people hit him.
And he finds Andrews, who makes a super catch, by the way, in the end zone for the touchdown. We're going to see a replay on that. Allen got hurt as he fell on the ball, got the wind knocked out.
Right. This was a bootleg. They had a corner blitz on, and he got by, the cornerback got by the guard, got onto LaPrairie. You see, I think he takes 5 hits as he's throwing the football. He certainly didn't lose his composure. Did a great job on that particular pass.
And, of course, that score then is 10-7, Cincinnati up by 3. In the third quarter, we see some great defensive action. A 25-yard loss play by Rutgers when Cincinnati quarterback is hit by Randy Hannes. And Mike Wilgig fumbles, and the ball's recovered by Lionel Washington. Watch the hit here.
This is Wilgig coming to the outside. This is Hannes right there causing the fumble, and Lionel Washington falls on the ball. He had 2 fumble recoveries.
Yeah, that was the second fumble recovery in the game. Cincinnati gets a safety when LaPrairie fumbles the ball out of the end zone. Actually, George Jameson of Cincinnati is credited with a sack in this.
Jameson had a real good day. He's number 82, their right defensive tackle. He gave us some problems.
And there's the replay on it.
Right, he's coming in here. He knocks Tommy Keating back, forces the ball. LaPrairie drops the ball, and it goes out of the end zone. Fortunately, Cincinnati didn't get it before it went out there.
That makes the score 12-7. Mike Morton kicks 2 field goals here, a 35-yarder, making it 15-7, then a second field goal, a 23-yarder, making it 18-7. And here, with about 5 minutes left in the game, a touchdown that isn't a touchdown.
Yeah, this is too bad. We went down, drove pretty well, and I think we scored. There was still 3 minutes and almost 4 minutes on the clock. We were still in a football game. Unfortunately, we had a holding call.
And the holding call, there's a little bit of frustration. Of course, when you know you had the ball, perfect pass, nice catch, touchdown, is going to put you literally back in the ball game to take it, and that flag backfield. It's always tough to look back and see that.
Sometimes we like to see that official keep it in his pocket, but it appears at a lot of inopportune times, that's for sure, Pat.
Looking back on the Cincinnati contest, an overview, if you will.
Well, as I said before, there's no doubt Cincinnati deserved to win the football game. We had our chances, and we didn't take advantage when we did. We gave Cincinnati a lot of turnovers, but again, you have to credit them. They took advantage when they had the opportunity, and by and large, I'd have to say that they outplayed us most of the afternoon.
Injuries, you have a couple of...
Well, yeah, we've been pretty fortunate, the last few weeks with injuries, but we have a lot of kids banged up. Jeff Cardilla, our best defensive lineman, was injured in the first half. He has a knee injury. He definitely will not play against West Virginia. There's a possibility he'll play against Temple. We'll know better, I think, in a few days. Mercer Hedgeman has had a series of injuries all season long. He's played every game, but he hasn't been 100%. And he'll definitely be out. He has a knee injury, a cartilage.
He went early in the ballgame, too.
He went on the opening kickoff.
Can't be much more early than that.
We didn't have him too long.
It's a shame. We're going to talk about, of course, another breather you have coming up next week against West Virginia. Down in West Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
Really.
We'll be talking about Morgantown, West Virginia, and, of course, the Mountaineers, the next opponent on the Rutgers schedule, after we pause for this message. Knights travel to Morgantown, West Virginia this weekend for a game with a club, of course, that is 7-2, has beaten some of the best clubs in the country. It's certainly not a breather for Rutgers in this one.
There's no doubt about that, Pat. As you say, they are one of the better football teams in the country, without a doubt. They've got a great quarterback. They've got fast running backs, good receivers. And you don't hear too much about defenses, but they have, I think, an exceptional defensive football team.
We're going to see some of that offense right now with Jeff Hostetler and the receivers you were mentioning, Hollins, coming up on our highlights right here. The first one is an 82-yard pass, I should say a punt return by Willie Drury. Okay, this is Willie Drury, a great speedy back.
He certainly has a lot of speed, and he doesn't live too far from here, Pat.
He's from South Jersey,
right? From South Jersey, maybe 30 miles from our campus.
Yeah, he went to Northern Burlington. Here's a touchdown catch we were talking about. This is to Hollins. Butch Young is covering on this long pass.
Right, this Hostetler threw a great pass. It was a perfect pass, as perfect as it can be.
We're going to see a replay on that as Jeff drops back here. Hoss is one of the excellent quarterbacks in the country, too.
He has to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country, without a doubt. He has the size, he has a great arm, and he's also a very fine runner, Pat.
Now we're going to see him with another pass, this to the right hash mark.
This was a post pattern. Carl Howard had very fine coverage on the play, but Hostetler put it right in on the money.
Really, you're going to see Carl giving excellent. He couldn't get any closer without getting an interference call.
I don't think he could have better coverage, but as I say, Hostetler put the ball right on the inside shoulder, and there wasn't too much you could do about it.
Now, they have a guy who boots the football. He has a record, the school record of 50 yards. He hit a 50-yarder last weekend, as a matter of fact, and there is one of the field goals, one of the two in this particular game we'll see by Paul Woodside.
There are a lot of kickers in the country that I haven't seen, but I would bet that he ranks with the best kickers there are.
Now, he's very steady, very strong. He's very consistent.
Seems like he never misses. He can kick for distance. I think he's had a couple of 50-yarders already this year.
Right. He had one earlier in the season and one just this past weekend.
Against Temple, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. So you got your work cut out for you. Any particular thoughts as to how you might attack the West Virginia offense?
Well, we're going to pray a little bit. That's for sure. But they run well and they pass well. They're passing for a lot more yardage than they're running. But you just can't play the pass, or else they'll cut you to death. Since they have two very fine tailbacks, and they have an exceptional fullback in Wolfie. So,
well, they scored 24 points last weekend in the first half, and then they were they were shut out from a touchdown standpoint. In the second half, only scored 3 points in the entire second half.
That's correct, so against Temple, and I think Temple did a very fine job in the second half of that football game.
We want to wish you much success as you travel to Morgantown, West Virginia. We'll talk to you next week here on the program. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Pat.
Coach Frank Burns, our regular special guest on the program, and as we said, he's here with us talking about the activities of the Scarlet Knights. And he'll be back next week as we look at and talk about the West Virginia game. We'll have more highlights of